The system forces me to confess at the start, rejection makes me stronger. Chen Wang traveled through time. After receiving the memories, he discovered that this body had extremely poor talent and was ranked at the bottom in terms of cultivation. Won't this mean he is doomed if he encounters a monster? Fortunately, at this moment, the system appeared. Chapter 1: The system makes me deliver a love letter to the school bell. Nansha. First High School, Class 3 of Senior Year Warriors. Next Monday will be the monthly exam. Everyone, please prepare. Additionally, some students in this class were ranked at the bottom during the midterm exam. They aren't even official warriors, which severely lowers the class's level. If your blood vitality doesn't reach the level of an official warrior by this month's exam, I will request that you be transferred to a regular class. At the front of the classroom, a middle-aged man wearing black-rimmed glasses spoke sternly. The students below listened attentively, except for one particularly special presence. In the last row of the first group, a student was sound asleep, his head resting on his desk. Suddenly, he woke up with a start, raising his head and looking around in astonishment. Where is this? A vast memory suddenly surged into his mind. Did I transmigrate? He had transmigrated into the body of a high school student named Chen Wang, who looked exactly like him. His original name was also Chen Wang, and the person who originally owned this body was also named Chen Wang. Before transmigrating, he had been a struggling online writer, preparing for a big update the next day, but unexpectedly, he died suddenly and transmigrated. Chen Wang couldn't help but feel a bit melancholic. It was all because an author with the pen name Animals Eating Animals was too focused on competing, forcing him to do the same for his novel update. Unfortunately, this competition led to him working too hard and dying of overexertion, which caused his transmigration. Chen Wang started reviewing the memories in his mind. This world was quite dangerous. This world was called Blue Star. 500 years ago, countless spatial rifts appeared all over the world. Through these rifts, creatures known as monsters emerged. Monsters poured into the human world, and humans fought fiercely to repel them. However, they discovered that conventional weapons only harmed low-level monsters and were completely ineffective against high-level ones. As a result, humans suffered heavy losses. Fortunately, at a critical moment, humans discovered ancient martial arts cultivation methods, and soon, a special group of humans called warriors emerged. With the warriors' powers, humans developed rapidly and eventually pushed the monsters back into the rifts. Although most of the monsters in this world were driven back to the other dimension, a small number of them, due to their special abilities, managed to avoid human surveillance and remained in Blue Star. Reports of ordinary people being attacked by monsters frequently appeared on the news. Chen Wang's body had poor talent. During the class placement assessment, he barely made it into the warrior class. In the previous exams, he had consistently sat at the bottom. Now, there were only 3 people in the class who hadn't become official warriors yet: Chen Wang and 2 others who were on the brink of becoming first-level warriors. The first level of warrior was the threshold for becoming an official warrior. They would surely reach this level before next Monday's exam. According to school regulations, if a student did not become a first-level warrior before the senior year monthly exam, they would be sent back to a regular class. In other words, by next Monday, Chen Wang must become a first-level warrior. But he was still far from reaching the first-level warrior threshold. He had only just become a semi-level warrior last week and was far from being an official warrior. What should he do? In this extremely dangerous world, if he couldn't become a warrior and get into a martial arts school, he would be at risk of monster attacks at any time. Ding! Detected a special soul emitting a strong will, beginning fusion. A cold voice suddenly rang in Chen Wang's ear. His eyes brightened. Is this the system? The God-level task system has been activated. System task issued. Please handwrite a love letter and deliver it to the school bell, Jongason, within 1 hour. Task result 1, accepted, reward, intermediate martial arts technique, starry blood essence. Task result 2, rejected, reward, 3rd level warrior cultivation. Chen Wang was stunned when he heard the system's voice. Confess to the school bell. Jongason, the school bell, was widely recognized as the top student in the entire grade. She was the only 2nd level warrior in senior year, and she had ranked first in every exam so far. Jongason was not only incredibly talented and powerful, but also extremely beautiful, with delicate features, fair skin, and an appearance that made her the dream girl of countless boys. She sat right in front of Chen Wang. Chen Wang looked at her shiny black ponytail and her fair neck, and his heart couldn't help but skip a beat. Wasn't this a guaranteed win? Who cares about intermediate martial arts techniques? With his terrible talent, even 10 years of practice wouldn't make him a third-level warrior. The third-level warrior cultivation reward sounded much more appealing. Besides, how could a school belle possibly accept someone like him? Although he didn't look bad, his exams had always been at the bottom, and his talent was extremely poor. If the school belle accepted him, it would surely be a dream. But Chen Wang decided to go ahead. He grabbed a piece of paper, tore it, and began writing. He used the writing skills he had developed during his years as an online writer, along with the cheesy pickup lines he had seen in short videos. He wrote things like, "I like you like the stars that travel billions of years, without complaints in the dark. I like you like a mouse loves rice. You are like the stars in the sky, so dazzling." And wrote everything down. He filled the paper with countless lines. Finally, he ended with, "I hope to spend my life with you." After finishing the letter, Chen Wang looked at it with satisfaction. Well done. When the bell rang for the end of class, the teacher had just left, and Chen Wang stood up. He grabbed the letter, folded it twice, and quickly walked over to Jongason. With a look of confusion on her face, he handed the letter to her. "What's this?" Jongason asked, puzzled. Chen Wang smiled faintly and said, "A love letter." His heart was already filled with joy. Soon, he would become the top student in the grade and the most handsome guy in the school. To his surprise, Jongason slowly tore the love letter in half. "Here it comes." Just as Chen Wang was waiting for Jongason to reject him, he suddenly noticed that the school belle was gazing at him with soft, loving eyes. Chen Wang froze. What's going on? This doesn't seem right. Jongason spoke up. "You didn't need to write me a love letter. There's no need to waste time on this. Just tell me, and I'll be with you anytime. I've actually liked you for a long time. Be with me?" Hearing her gentle words, Chen Wang trembled. How could this be? The genius school belle actually liked a useless, low-ranking student like him. This isn't a novel. At that moment, the system's voice sounded again. Ding! Congratulations, host, for completing task 1. Reward, Intermediate Martial Arts Technique, Starry Blood Essence. The reward has been stored in the system space, and the host can retrieve it at any time. Chapter 2, It's You Again. Upon hearing the system's voice, Chen Wang's eyes widened in disbelief. The campus belle likes me. Although the campus belle was beautiful like a flower, Chen Wang had no romantic interest in her at all. What a pity for my cultivation reward. He sighed and said to Jongason, "Sorry, I refuse. I'm not worthy of you." After speaking, he dejectedly returned to his seat. Upon hearing his words, Jongason stared at him in disbelief, and a hint of disappointment flashed in her eyes. Sitting at his desk, Chen Wang began thinking about what to do next. The midterm exam was on Monday, and he couldn't be sent back to the regular class. Otherwise, he'd have no chance with the martial arts school. With his terrible talent, was it really possible to become a first-tier martial artist before Monday with just the martial arts technique rewarded by the system? The answer, of course, was no. According to his memories, the previous owner had worked very hard before starting to cultivate. Otherwise, with his talent, he wouldn't have made it into the martial arts class. But his progress had always been slow. After joining the martial arts class, he had finished last in several exams, and the original owner had slowly lost hope. The surrounding classmates were buzzing after learning what had happened. Wow! He rejected the campus belle. The campus belle actually likes him. I feel heartbroken. My goddess! Why would the campus belle like him? He's just a useless guy. But at this moment, Chen Wang didn't have the energy to pay attention to his classmates' mocking comments. He silently murmured, "System, extract rewards." Reward being distributed. Chen Wang felt a large amount of knowledge flood into his mind. His eyes lit up. So this is the martial arts technique the system rewarded me with? Stellar Vitality Technique, which has 4 times the amplification at night compared to daytime training. Although this reward wasn't as good as the one for the 3rd tier cultivation, it was still quite decent. As for the midterm exam next Monday, he'd have to think of another way. The bell for class rang. After being rejected by Chen Wang, Jonathan kept her head down throughout the class, and the atmosphere became very awkward. The class passed like this, and when the bell rang for the end of school, Chen Wang began packing his bag, planning to go home and quickly practice the new martial arts technique rewarded by the system. Suddenly, the cold voice of the system rang in his ear again. System task now issued happy smiley. Please reach the field downstairs and complete a 400-meter sprint within 5 minutes. Task result 1, success, reward, 3rd tier martial artist cultivation. Task result 2, failure, reward, intermediate martial art, divine dragon fist. Countdown starts now, 5 o'clock. Looking at the countdown panel before him, Chen Wang quickly dropped his bag. He rushed out of the classroom. The students in the classroom froze when they saw him rushing out in a panic. Someone shouted first, "Oh no! Chen Wang is going to jump off the building." Everyone hurried out of the classroom after hearing this. A tall male student was about to enter the classroom, and Chen Wang suddenly dashed past him like the wind. Hearing the shout, the tall student turned around and grabbed Chen Wang by the collar, locking his arm tightly. Chen Wang glanced at the countdown panel in front of him, and only one thought crossed his mind: I want to make it in time. The tall student kindly advised, "Chen Wang, don't do anything rash." Chen Wang roared, "Let go of me. I'm not going to jump off the building, I have something urgent." The tall student immediately released his grip, and after Chen Wang broke free, he sprinted downstairs like the wind. Upon reaching the track behind the school, the time displayed on the panel was less than 2 minutes. Chen Wang quickly ran onto the 400-meter track, which meant he only needed to complete 1 lap. Just as he was about to start the last 100-meter sprint, a dark figure suddenly dashed out and blocked his path. In order to avoid colliding with her, Chen Wang lost his balance and fell to the ground. He quickly got up, but a soft hand suddenly grabbed him tightly. He looked up in shock, and the person who blocked him was none other than Jonathan. "You again?" Chen Wang screamed inwardly. Staring at the time on the panel, which hit 0, Chen Wang looked at Jonathan with a distressed face. Why did she suddenly appear here? Congratulations to the host for completing task result 2, reward, intermediate martial art, divine dragon fist. Reward has been stored in the system space. The host can extract it at any time. Chen Wang. How did you get here? Chen Wang sighed and asked. Jonathan stared at him with her beautiful eyes and said, "Why did you reject me? You were the one who gave me the love letter first." Chen Wang couldn't help but smile bitterly. "Sister, why did you have to ask me this now? My cultivation reward." Chen Wang didn't know how to answer her. It wasn't like he could say, it was the system's idea, right? So he found a reason and sighed, "You're so outstanding, I really don't deserve you. You're the campus belle, the top of the grade, talented, strong, and beautiful, but I'm just a study loser, ranked last in the class. After the midterm exam next Monday, I might be sent back to the regular class." Chen Wang listed the differences between them one by one. "So there's no possibility for us?" Jonathan's eyes dimmed, then suddenly brightened. She looked at Chen Wang and asked, "If I help you pass the midterm exam, will you be with me?" Chen Wang froze. Does she really have a way? He shook his head. "Even if you find a way for me to pass the exam, I still want to be with you." After speaking, he left without looking back, leaving behind a flustered girl. The girl looked at his receding figure, imagining the lonely expression on his face. She clenched her fist and swore, "I will help you pass this exam." When Chen Wang returned home, he simply cooked a bowl of noodles. Sitting at the dining table, he ate the noodles alone. His parents were often away on business trips, and he didn't even know what they did for work. They hadn't returned in nearly 2 weeks. After finishing his noodles, Chen Wang returned to his bedroom. He sat by the bed, and the events of the schoolyard after class replayed in his mind. He had been so close to succeeding, but then Jonathan appeared out of nowhere. What should he do about the midterm exam on Monday? There was no way he could make it by just training on his own. Now, all he could do was wait for the system to issue another task. Chen Wang took out his phone and saw several missed calls. The caller ID showed the name, Fatty. Chen Wang redialed the number. "Hello. Fatty, what's up?" "Chen Wang, I heard you confess to the campus belle today." Fatty's excited voice came through the phone. Chen Wang froze for a moment and asked, aren't you in the regular class? How do you know about this? Fatty said, the school forum is buzzing about it. I heard the campus belle actually agreed to you, and then you rejected her. You're crazy, you rejected the campus belle. Chen Wang hung up the phone and hurriedly logged onto the school forum. When he saw the content on the forum, he was dumbfounded. Chapter 3, Uncovering the Evil God Cult's Deal with the Monster, Tang Sword Immortal. The post at the top of the forum's Hot Topics list was surprisingly titled, The School Beauty from Class 1 Has Someone Now. Original post, let me spill a big secret. Today, the guy ranked last in our class, Chen Wang, confessed to the school beauty, Jonathan. First floor, are you serious? If it's true, that guy must be crazy, like a toad wanting to eat a swan's meat. Second floor, I heard the school beauty agreed. Third floor, wait, seriously? She agreed? Oh my god, I'm heartbroken. Fourth floor, actually, no. That guy rejected the school beauty afterward, saying he wasn't worthy of her. Third floor replies to fourth floor, well, at least that guy has self-awareness. Fifth floor, but the school beauty's heart was taken by him. Sixth floor, which class is that guy from? I'm going to beat him up. Chen Wang couldn't help but feel helpless as he read the students' discussions. He never imagined that his rejection of the school beauty would cause such a stir. Some people even wanted to beat him up. Seems like the school beauty had a lot of admirers. This morning, he had thought his cultivation was definitely secure, but then he found out the school beauty secretly liked him, which was completely unexpected. How could such a high and cold school beauty like him, a guy ranked last in class? Chen Wang was puzzled. He kept thinking about the memories of the previous owner, but couldn't find any connection between himself and the school beauty. She couldn't possibly like him for no reason, right? Forget it. I won't think about this anymore. Time to focus on cultivation, or after the monthly exam, I might really be sent back to a normal class. He felt like the unluckiest transmigrator ever. His golden finger was just too unreliable. Chen Wang sighed, sitting cross-legged to begin his cultivation. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the window onto Chen Wang's cheek as he slowly opened his eyes. His expression was one of surprise. He hadn't expected the effect of this cultivation technique to be so impressive. After just one night, he could feel his internal energy and vitality had increased significantly. Today was Saturday, with only 2 days left before the monthly exam. Time was tight. After getting up, he quickly washed up, had a simple breakfast, and headed out. Near his home, there was a forest with a clearing where there weren't many people, perfect for practicing martial arts. Yesterday afternoon, he had received a reward from the system, their divine dragon fist, but he hadn't extracted it yet. Chen Wang muttered, extract. The next moment, he felt a warm sensation in his mind, and the entire set of divine dragon fist was imprinted in his memory as if he had practiced it countless times. He arrived near the clearing, ready to familiarize himself with the martial art. Suddenly, he overheard some people talking from behind the bushes. Curious, he peered through the grass and saw several people dressed in black surrounding a black-faced lion. That was a monster. At that moment, the cold voice of the system echoed in his mind. Detected that their host has accidentally encountered a transaction between the cult of the evil goddess followers and a 5th-tier monster avatar. System task issued, please report to the police chief in advance and record this transaction, sending it to him. Task result 1, success, reward, physique heavenly spirit sword body. Task result 2, failure, reward, 3rd-tier martial artist cultivation. Rejecting the task reward, soul disperses. Chen Wang couldn't help but be puzzled. He now suspected that the system was deliberately preventing him from obtaining the reward of 3rd-tier martial artist cultivation. That monster had 5th-tier cultivation. If he failed the task, his life might be in danger, not to mention cultivation. Ignoring the system's task and running away wasn't an option either. Initially, when he heard about the 5th-tier monster, he hesitated about whether to flee. Even though it was only an avatar, it wasn't something he could handle. But then he heard the system's new instruction: if he rejected the task, his soul would disperse, which eliminated any thoughts of running away. Now, he had only 2 options: succeed and survive, or fail and die. The system really gave him no escape. Chen Wang cautiously took out his phone and sent a report to the police chief. He quickly opened the camera and started recording. His heart pounded as he was afraid of being discovered at any moment, possibly becoming the shortest-lived transmigrator. On the clearing, the leader of the black-clad people respectfully spoke to the fifth-tier monster. Lord Chris, our cult master has sent a message. We will send people to hold off the police chief, and you can use the opportunity to enter the city and attack ordinary people. We will send a few others to collect their souls. When the police chief arrives, we'll signal you to leave. The fifth-tier monster made a low, rumbling sound, which was the monster's language. Fortunately, there was a class in school that taught monster languages. Chen Wang roughly understood its words. It said its avatar wouldn't last long and asked the cult of the evil god's people to leave first. Chen Wang stopped the recording and sent the video to the police chief. The network here was a bit weak, so the video transmission was slow. He turned to leave, hoping to sneak away quietly. Crack. Just then, he accidentally stepped on a twig. Who's there? The black-clad man shouted in alarm. Roar. The monster growled. Chen Wang immediately turned and ran, but as soon as the black-clad people and the monster's avatar realized he was escaping, they immediately gave chase. We can't let him run. He discovered our plan. We can't let him leak this. Chen Wang's cultivation was only half a tier, while the others were at least first-tier martial artists, with a fifth-tier monster avatar in the mix. He was quickly caught. The leader of the black-clad people, holding a dagger, closed in on Chen Wang step by step. Chen Wang felt a sense of despair. Was he really going to become the shortest-lived transmigrator? Just then, a white sword light descended from the sky. The black-clad people sensed something was wrong and quickly stepped back, narrowly avoiding the sword energy. A middle-aged man dressed in white robes landed gracefully, holding a long sword, exuding an air of elegance. The black-clad man widened his eyes. Your Tang sword immortal. How are you here? Upon hearing this, Chen Wang froze for a moment. Tang sword immortal? He had thought the police chief's people had arrived, but it wasn't them. The name, Tang sword immortal, sounded prestigious, so this must be someone powerful. It seemed like he was saved. At that moment, the system's voice rang out again. Congratulations to the host for completing task result 1, reward, physique heavenly spirit sword body. Task reward has been automatically absorbed by the host. Chen Wang felt warmth spread through his body, as if something new had been added. The middle-aged man, holding the long sword, looked at the black-clad people with a playful expression. The black-faced lion behind them was trembling in fear. Then, the man suddenly turned his head, raising an eyebrow, and looked at Chen Wang with some surprise. Chen Wang thought he saw a hint of intense interest in his eyes. Chapter for Tang Zhenxian, are you willing to be my disciple? When several men in black saw him turning around, they took the opportunity to turn around and run away. Seeing this, Chen Wang hurriedly shouted, Senior, they are about to run away. The middle-aged man slowly turned his head and glared sharply. In an instant, a terrifying momentum surged towards the direction of the men in black. Several men in black were thrown to the ground. The black-headed lion monster roared towards the sky, and then its body slowly dissipated. Chen Wang took a breath when he saw this. Although the black-headed lion was only a clone, its own strength was at least at level 4. This Tang Zhenxian actually burst out with his warrior's aura and defeated him. This person is at least a 7th level warrior. The middle-aged man turned his head again, with a smile on his face, and asked Chen Wang, which sword master's disciple are you? Chen Wang shook his head and said, I don't have a master. The middle-aged man seemed a little surprised. He asked Chen Wang, would you like to be my disciple? Chen Wang was stunned when he heard this. He didn't expect that the big boss in front of him would actually want to take him as his apprentice. At this moment, the system's voice rang in his ears. Now issue system tasks. Happy Smiley. Tang Zhenxian, the number 1 swordsman in Dragon Country, has expressed his intention to accept the host as his disciple. Please make a choice within 1 minute. Task result 1, accepted, reward, 1 marrow cleansing pill. Task result 2, rejected, reward for level 3 warrior cultivation. When Chen Wang heard the system's voice, his eyes lit up. The number 1 swordsman in Dragon Country. Based on this evaluation, his cultivation must be more than level 7. This is definitely a thigh. The reward for the 3rd level of cultivation is not as cost-effective as becoming his disciple. Chen Wang knelt down without hesitation and kowtowed. Disciple Chen Wang greets master. The system voice sounded again. Congratulations to the host for completing task result 1. Reward, 1 marrow cleansing pill. The reward has been stored in the system space, and the host can withdraw it at any time. The middle-aged man laughed. Very good, very good. He helped Chen Wang up and said, remember, I am the Dean of the Sword Academy of the main city martial arts school. The Dean of the Sword Academy of the main city's martial arts school. Chen Wang was stunned when he heard that. You should know that the main city martial arts school is the best martial arts school in the whole Dragon Country, with rich resources and strong faculty. At the same time, the 4 major colleges of the main city martial arts school are famous for their strength. The 4 major academies are Sword Academy, Boxing Academy, Spear Academy, and Knife Academy. The deans of each of the 4 major academies are mysterious. It is rumored that they have broken through the limit of martial arts cultivation, the 10th level. Chen Wang really didn't expect that the middle-aged man in front of him, whom he had just worshipped as a disciple, was actually the Dean of the Sword Academy. Fortunately, I chose to take him as my master, otherwise I would have missed the opportunity to curry favor with him. Chen Wang asked curiously, Master, why did those people call you Tang Jianxian just now? Tang Jianxian paused and said, this is a nickname given to me by outsiders. At this time, a siren sounded in the distance. The inspector's men have arrived. Several police officers in uniform, holding spiritual weapons, walked towards this side cautiously. Seeing 2 people standing not far away and several men in black lying on the ground, several police officers were stunned. Excuse me, who is Chen Wang? A police officer asked the 2 men. Chen Wang took a step forward and said, I am Chen Wang. What's going on with those guys? Who did it? The police officer asked in surprise, looking at several men in black lying on the ground not far away. Tang Jianxian smiled and said, I did it. Where is the monster's clone? The police officer asked puzzledly. You were scared to death by me. Tang Jianxian said calmly. The police officer's expression suddenly became respectful, and he asked Tang Jianxian, may I ask who you are? Tang Jianxian smiled and said, everyone outside calls me Tang Jianxian. Are you Tang Jianxian? The police officer looked at Tang Jianxian in front of him, somewhat unbelieving. He rubbed his eyes with his hands, showing an excited expression. The police officers behind him also had admiring looks on their faces. Why are you here in Nansha? The police officer asked excitedly. Tang Jianxian said, I have to go to the city number 3 Rift alien space to do something. The police officer hesitated for a moment after hearing this, and then asked, can you 2 go back with us to the inspector? Tang Jianxian put away the long sword in his hand, looked at Chen Wang with a smile and said, let's go. They took a police car to the police inspection office, where they were personally received by the chief inspector of the police inspection office. Office of the Inspector General. Master Tang, please have some tea. The inspector was a middle-aged man in uniform. He looked a little excited as he sat opposite Chen Wang and Tang Jianxian. He never thought that one day he would come into contact with such a person. He poured a cup of tea for Tang Jianxian nervously. Tang Jianxian raised the teacup and drank the tea in one gulp. Master Tang, who is this young man? The middle-aged supervisor asked curiously. Tang Jianxian smiled slightly, my new disciple, Chen Wang. The middle-aged supervisor was stunned for a while, a little surprised, you actually accepted a disciple. He looked at Chen Wang with admiration in his eyes. As expected of your disciple. Was it this young man who informed our inspector just now? This young man is really brave. The evil church's plot this time is extremely evil. They actually teamed up with monsters to sneak into the city and kill innocent people. Fortunately, my brother discovered their plot in time, which prevented a disaster in the near future. Chen Wang felt a little embarrassed by the praise. To be honest, if it wasn't a system task, he might have run away on the spot. He chose to be Tang Jinxian's disciple, but his cultivation level still did not break through the first level. As for the marrow cleansing pill rewarded by the system, he checked its related effects from his memory. The marrow cleansing pill can effectively enhance a person's talent, just the right solution to his lack of talent. If there was no elimination mechanism in the monthly exam, this marrow cleansing pill would definitely be more beneficial to him. The monthly exam is just 2 days away. Chen Wang was deep in thought. He had to think of a way to quickly break through to the first level. The middle-aged supervisor asked Tang Jianxian, are you going to the number 3 crack? Tang Jianxian smiled and nodded, saying, my cultivation has reached a bottleneck recently. I want to go to the South City number 3 Rift to fight with the dragon and find an opportunity to break through. The middle-aged supervisor was immediately excited. Are you going to break through? Tang Jianxian smiled but said nothing. It seemed that she agreed with his statement. After hearing his words, Chen Wang was stunned. Is my new master about to make a breakthrough? What state is he in now? Tang Jianxian drank another cup of tea and said to the middle-aged supervisor, it's getting late. I have to leave first. He took Chen Wang away from the police inspection office. Then he prepared to go to the alien space of the number 3 crack alone. Before leaving, he handed Chen Wang a sword manual and a broken wooden chopstick. According to his instructions, this sword manual is his half-life understanding and implementation of the sword way, and Chen Wang can only learn it when his cultivation reaches the 2nd level. The broken chopstick contained his sword energy, which could kill any creature below the 5th level. Chen looked at the broken chopsticks in his hand and couldn't help but have some doubts. This broken chopstick looks ordinary, just like ordinary chopsticks, nothing special. Can this really kill any creature below level 5? Chapter 5, Encountering Jonathan in the number 5 rift and the healing pill. After Chen Wang returned home, he took out the marrow cleansing pill rewarded by the system from the system space. Looking at the little black ball in his hand, Chen Wang couldn't help feeling confused. Is this the marrow cleansing pill? Why does it look exactly like the small stinky pills you usually take when you have a stomachache? If this wasn't a reward from the system, he would have thought that someone was playing a trick on him. He swallowed the marrow cleansing pill in one gulp, and the foul smell filled his mouth, almost making him vomit. It's confirmed, this is definitely not a small stinky pill. Small stinky pills are not that smelly. Chen Wang forced himself to swallow the marrow cleansing pill while enduring the stench. He almost vomited. The moment he swallowed it, he felt a sharp pain in his body. He gritted his teeth and cursed the system in his heart. What a damn system, why didn't you tell me earlier that it hurts so much? He was in so much pain that he couldn't help rolling around on his bed. After a few minutes, the pain gradually subsided. Chen Wang sat up and let out a breath. He suddenly felt a sense of comfort inside his body, as if he had been reborn. It stinks. Chen Wang covered his nose. The smell came from him, and his skin was covered with a layer of black mud. Chen Wang rushed into the bathroom. After taking a shower, Chen Wang put on his pants and stood in front of the mirror with his upper body naked, blowing his wet hair. He glanced in the mirror and was suddenly stunned. Is this still me? In the mirror, the boy's face was angular and his eyebrows were thick, making him look exceptionally handsome. Six-pack abs are very stylish. If Chen Wang was a little handsome before, he is now the school idol. I've never heard of the marrow cleansing pill having this effect before. Chen Wang pondered over it, and finally attributed the reason to things produced by the system must be high quality. After blow-drying his hair, he sat on the bed, looking down at the phone screen. While browsing the official website of Nansha Warriors, Chen Wang suddenly saw someone posting that a kind of spiritual herb appeared in the number 5 crack in Nansha. Warriors below the 2nd level can break through to a new realm by taking this magical herb. The coordinates of the spiritual herb are also marked below the post. Chen Wang immediately decided to go to crack number 5 tomorrow to look for that spiritual herb. The next day, Chen Wang got up very early. Today he is going to crack number 5 to look for the spiritual herbs that can help him break through to the 1st level. Chen Wang couldn't help feeling helpless. He never expected that he, a great time traveler, would fall to the point where he couldn't even pass a small monthly exam and was about to be sent back to a regular class. This is really unworthy of the identity of a time traveler. The major cracks in this world are extremely dangerous and monsters are rampant. There are 5 cracks in South City, of which crack number 5 is the least dangerous one. The highest level of monsters in the first 4 cracks can reach level 8 or above, while the highest level of monsters in crack number 5 is only level 5. Moreover, the coordinates of the spiritual herbs in the number 5 rift are not far from the edge of the entrance, and most of the monsters are relatively weak. However, to be on the safe side, Chen Wang still took the broken chopsticks given to him by Tang Jianxian. Although the broken chopsticks look ordinary, as Chen Wang is Tang Jianxian's apprentice, he would never lie to Chen Wang. After everything was ready, Chen Wang took some dry food and set off. Crack number 5 is in a wooded area. There are troops guarding outside the crack. At this time, there are quite a lot of people preparing to enter the number 5 crack. Most of them have seen the news about spiritual herbs on the internet and come here to try their luck. Chen Wang stepped forward to verify his identity information, and then entered crack number 5. The exit of the crack is a gloomy forest. Unlike outside the crack, the trees here are black, and the other plants are also pitch black. Chen Wang moved towards the coordinates in his memory. Along the way, Chen Wang was very cautious, fearing that a monster would rush out from the side if he broke through. Although the cultivation levels of monsters within 10 kilometers of the edge of the crack exit are generally not high, most of them are not something Chen Wang can deal with at the moment. Chen Wang encountered several first-level monsters several times. Fortunately, he was cautious and quickly took a detour when the monsters were not paying attention. After walking for a long time, he finally arrived at his destination safely. According to the coordinates, the place where the spiritual herbs grow is in front. Chen Wang walked to a bush and was about to go over when he suddenly heard the sound of fighting coming from there. He parted the grass and took a look, and his eyes suddenly narrowed. The system's voice sounded at this time. It was detected that the host encountered the school beauty Jonathan fighting a third-level monster. Now issue system tasks happy smiley. Host, please make a choice. Mission result 1, go forward and save the school beauty Jonathan, and you will be rewarded with a primary healing pill. Mission result 2, turn around and run away, reward for level 3 warrior cultivation. Chen Wang looked ahead and saw Jonathan with her back to him, blood on her back, but she was still holding a long sword and facing the 5th-level monster. She seemed injured. Chen Wang remembered what Jonathan said to him on the playground after school that day. I couldn't help feeling helpless. She watched as the monster pounced on her again. She only has the 2nd-level cultivation level, and she must have had some life-saving magic weapon on her to be able to hold on until now. But she was injured, and it was obvious that she could not withstand the monster's attack again. Chen Wang strode forward without hesitation. With a flash of white light in his hand, he threw the broken chopsticks given to him by Tang Jianxian at the monster. The broken chopsticks burst out with dazzling white light, which was a trace of sword energy from Tang Jianxian. The sword energy rushed into the monster's body. The monster howled towards the sky and slowly fell to the ground. Jonathan trembled and slowly turned her head. After seeing Chen Wang's appearance clearly, she was stunned, her beautiful eyes full of disbelief. Why are you here? Chen Wang looked at her helplessly and said, I haven't asked you why you are here yet. Jonathan's eyes were a little evasive. At this time, the system voice sounded. Congratulations to the host for completing the first task and receiving a primary healing pill as a reward. The reward has been actively stored in the system space, and the host can withdraw it at any time. Hearing the system's voice, Chen Wang couldn't help but suspect that the task reward given by the system this time was just for him to heal Jonathan. He has no use for this thing. He pretended to put his hand in his pocket and pulled out a small medicine bottle. Chen Wang handed the small medicine bottle to Jonathan. What is this? Jonathan was stunned after taking the small medicine bottle. Chen Wang said, healing pill, take it. Jonathan poured out the healing pill from the small medicine bottle without hesitation and swallowed it in one gulp. In an instant, she felt warm all over her body, and the places where she was hurt by the monster began to itch. Her little face began to flush. Chen Wang looked at her expression and couldn't help feeling confused. Is there anything wrong with this healing pill? Fortunately, after a few minutes, the blush on Jonathan's face gradually dissipated. Jonathan took out a blue spiritual herb from her pocket and handed it to Chen Wang. Chen Wang took the herbs and said in silence. So, you came here just for me. Chapter 6, Tang Jianxian, who successfully survived the catastrophe, and the Black Flame Demon Dragon. Jonathan blushed and nodded. Chen Wang was stunned for a moment, then he sighed and said, let's go back together. He felt somewhat guilty at this moment. It was all the system's fault for assigning him the task of confession. Now, the girl went deep into the number 5 rift for herself and was almost killed by the monster because of her. Chen Wang took Jonathan away and walked towards the exit. They had not walked far when they met a group of warriors who came out to explore. They also seemed to be here to look for spiritual herbs. Chen Wang saw from afar that they seemed to be fighting with a monster. The monster was a black bear, about 3 meters tall. Judging from the battle situation, it is at least a 3rd-level monster. A few people were resisting stubbornly not far away, so Chen Wang quickly turned around with Jonathan. He said in a deep voice, let's go in the opposite direction. Chen Wang was speechless. Originally, most of the monsters at this distance had cultivation levels below the 2nd level, and third-level monsters were rare. Unexpectedly, he encountered two third-level monsters at once today. Returning in the direction they had just come from, the two were getting further and further away from the exit. Along the way, Chen Wang encountered many monsters above level 3, but fortunately he managed to take detours in time. Chen Wang couldn't help but wonder what was going on. Why is crack number 5 today different from the one described online? Chen Wang saw someone else's description of the number 5 crack on the internet. It said that within 20 kilometers from the exit, there were generally only monsters with a cultivation level below level 3, and monsters above level 3 were rare. However, during this period of time, Chen Wang encountered nearly a dozen third-level monsters. It couldn't be that his luck was just too bad. At this time, there were lightning and thunder in the sky not far away, and monsters of all levels were frightened and fled in all directions. Chen Wang quickly pulled Jonathan to the side. He looked towards the horizon, and there seemed to be a figure there, who was using his body to protect against the thunder. Is this person undergoing a tribulation? Chen Wang couldn't help but think of the term immortal cultivation in his previous life. Not far from the figure was a huge black creature, which looked like a dragon. The blood-red thunder struck the man 9 times in a row, but his body did not shake at all. After the 9th thunderbolt fell, the dark clouds slowly dissipated. The giant dragon roared towards the sky, and the figure was glowing with golden light. He fell from the sky and landed on the back of the dragon. Jonathan widened her beautiful eyes at this moment. She murmured, "Is this a rank 10 expert breaking through their final bottleneck?" He actually succeeded. It looks like Dragon Country will have another powerful immortal. Chen Wang was stunned when he heard this. You said that it was a rank 10 expert who was breaking through. He looked carefully at the figure on the giant dragon in the sky. For some reason, he felt somewhat familiar with it. What realm is above the 10th level? Chen Wang asked. Jonathan said, Immortal God level. There was endless longing in Chen Wang's eyes. He clenched his fists unconsciously, and the figure just now appeared in his mind. When will I be able to reach this level? If heaven had not given birth to me, Tang Aaron, the sword path would have been as dark as eternity. Har har har. I never thought that one day I, Tang Aaron, would become a true immortal. Hearing the sound coming from the sky, Chen Wang's body trembled suddenly. Why does this voice sound familiar? Raw. You are already at the immortal god level, and you are still shouting like that. Don't tell others that I know you. Tang Jianxian stepped on the giant dragon's back and said nonchalantly, What's there to be ashamed of? There's no one else here. Who? Someone is watching us down there. Hearing what it said, Tang Jianxian almost fell off the dragon's back. He quickly asked the dragon to fly down. The giant dragon landed in front of Chen Wang and the other man, and Tang Jianxian quickly jumped off the dragon's back. Looking at the two people in front of him, he was stunned. Why are you here? He exclaimed. Master. Chen Wang shouted in disbelief. He didn't expect that the person who made the breakthrough was actually his own master. At this time, Jonathan heard Chen Wang calling the other party master, and looked at Chen Wang in disbelief. Tang Jinxian's old face turned red, thinking that what he had just said must have been heard by his disciple. I have no face to live. Chen Wang recalled how graceful and elegant his master was yesterday, not to mention how majestic he looked. At this time, his whole body was black because he had just been struck by lightning, and his clothes were a little messy. And just now he shouted in the sky in a very childish way, If heaven had not given birth to me, Tang Aaron, the way of swords would have been dark forever. This really overturned the image of the sword immortal in his mind. So my master's name is Tang Aaron. Chen Wang smiled secretly in his heart. This reminded him of the well-known local names in his previous life. Wang Ergu, Li Ming, Zhang Xiaozhu. No wonder he didn't tell me his name before. Tang Jianxian coughed lightly and turned his gaze to Jonathan, who was standing beside him. Who is this little girl? Chen Wang quickly explained, She is my classmate. Tang Jianxian narrowed his black eyes, looked at Jonathan curiously, and smiled slightly. Little girl. You didn't hear anything just now, right? Seeing his smiling, dagger-hiding eyes, Jonathan nodded quickly and said, I didn't hear anything. Chen Wang muttered, I heard it. Tang Jianxian looked at him and asked, Did you use the broken chopsticks I gave you? A white light flashed in his hand, and several branches appeared in his hand. I can't find any wooden chopsticks for now, so I'll use a branch instead. You hold it to save your life. Chen Wang quickly took the branch and was delighted. He had just witnessed the damage this thing could do. It killed a third-level monster instantly. Tang Jianxian said to him, "Remember not to tell anyone what you just heard, okay?" Chen Wang nodded obediently. "I am your good disciple, how could I tell anyone?" "Darhe, please send my apprentice and his classmates out first." Tang Jianxian then said to the giant dragon. "Roar. This dragon king is not called Darhe. This dragon king is the black flame demon dragon." The giant dragon roared in dissatisfaction. It leaned down. Chen Wang looked at Tang Jianxian hesitantly. Tang Jianxian said cheerfully, "Go ahead, it and I are old friends, it will get you out safely." Chen Wang asked doubtfully, "Where are you going?" Tang Jianxian sighed and said, "I'll go find a stream to wash my face." As he spoke, he flew towards the sky on his sword. Chen Wang and Zhonghasin were carried by the giant dragon and flew towards the exit of the crack. On the road, the dragon was flying slowly. "Roar. Are you that guy's new apprentice?" Chen Wang said respectfully, "Yes, senior." He didn't know how to address the dragon, so he just called it senior. "Senior, has my master broken through to the immortal god level?" Chen Wang asked curiously. The giant dragon responded somewhat proudly, "Roar. Thanks to me, otherwise how could he have become a powerful immortal so early?" Chen Wang looked towards Zhonghasin and asked, "Are there many immortal god-level warriors in Dragon Country at present?" Zhonghasin shook her head and said, "It shouldn't be more than 2 hands." After hearing this, Chen Wang became more certain of his choice yesterday. Fortunately, he decided to become his disciple. Master must be one of the top fighters in Dragon Country. Chapter 7, Face-Slapping Man Qianhar. Chen Wang asked the dragon, "Senior, I heard my master say yesterday that he was going to crack number 3 to find you. How come you suddenly appeared in crack number 5? Roar. The cracks are connected, we came from crack number 3, the dragon responded. Chen Wang suddenly understood. He thought of all the strange things that had happened to him today. Those third-level monsters that appeared frequently were probably frightened by the might of the dragon, so they fled towards the exit. The dragon sent the two to a place not far from the exit. After thanking the dragon, Chen Wang took Zhonghasin and left rift number 3. After the crack appeared, Zhonghasin expressed her inner doubts to Chen Wang. "Is that senior just now your master?" Chen Wang said frankly, "He is the master I just recognized yesterday. Luckily I had the broken chopsticks that contained the sword energy that he gave me, otherwise you would have been in danger. Remember not to be so reckless for me next time." "I'm not worth it," he advised. Zhonghasin looked a little disappointed when she heard this. She was about to turn around and leave when Chen Wang suddenly called her. "Thank you for the spiritual herbs today." Chen Wang said sincerely. Zhonghasin said softly, "You're welcome." With that she left. Chen Wang looked at her receding figure and couldn't help but curse the system in his heart. After returning home, Chen Wang took out the magical herb. The spiritual herb emitted a faint blue light, and the light in the bedroom was a little dim, so Chen Wang could see it clearly. He took out his cell phone and clicked on the post he saw yesterday. It is said above that this magical herb needs to be taken orally to show its effect. Chen Wang looked at the spiritual herb emitting blue light in his hand, and he was a little hesitant. What if that post was a scam and this thing was poisonous, then he would be dead. Just then, the system's voice rang. It is detected that the host is hesitant about taking the spiritual herbs. Now issue system tasks. Happy Smiley. Task Result 1, choose to take the spiritual herb, and be rewarded with a mid-grade spiritual sword light blue. Task Result 2, choose not to take the spiritual herbs, reward spiritual herbs x3. Chen Wang. He finally understood that the system was telling him in disguise that the spiritual herb was not poisonous. It just so happens that he is currently lacking a suitable weapon. Chen Wang stuffed the spiritual herb into his mouth and chewed its leaves into pieces. Millimeter, it's quite sweet. In an instant, Chen Wang felt a powerful suction force erupting from his body. Countless spiritual energy gathered towards his dantian. He knew that the medicine was beginning to take effect, so he quickly sat cross-legged. The sky gradually darkened and the sun had set. Chen Wang slowly opened his eyes, and he felt a warm current in his dantian. This is a symbol of reaching the first level, proving that qi and blood can be controlled autonomously. Chen Wang was delighted. It seemed that the magical herb was real. At this time, the system voice sounded again. Congratulations to the host for completing the first task, and the reward is a mid-grade spiritual sword light blue. The reward has been stored in the system space, and the host can withdraw it at any time. Chen Wang took out the magic sword and looked at it carefully in his hand. The sword emits a faint blue light, which is very handsome. The material is like crystal, but it is much stronger than crystal. He waved the light blue and adjusted to the feel. Not bad. After putting away his sword, Chen Wang just stood up and suddenly felt very hungry. Only then did he remember that he seemed to have not eaten anything all day. Chen Wang went out and found a noodle shop to eat a bowl of noodles. While eating, he heard someone discussing something. It seemed to be related to crack number 5. Chen Wang lowered his head, biting noodles, and pricked up his ears to secretly listen to their conversation. Sitting next to him was a bald middle-aged man, gossiping with another man opposite him. Do you know? A major change occurred in the number 5 crack yesterday, he said mysteriously. What happened? The man opposite was a little confused. The Black Flame Dragon, the king of monsters from the number 3 crack, has appeared in the number 5 crack. Rumor has it that he is protecting a powerful human being, said the bold man. Human? Who is it? Who else could it be? Of course it's Tang Zhenxian. Crack number 3 is the most stable crack in the human world because the monster king of crack number 3 is a friend of Tang Zhenxian. The bold man said with some emotion, it would be great if other monsters could pursue peace like the Black Flame Dragon. Chen Wang finished his noodles, paid the bill and left. The Black Flame Demon Dragon, is it that giant dragon senior? Can humans and monsters live in peace? After returning home, Chen Wang kept thinking about this problem. He had this question in his mind when he first saw the Black Flame Demon Dragon with his master. The monsters in this world are basically beasts, and when they reach a certain level, they will have the same wisdom as humans. In this case, is it possible for humans in the future to live in peace with monsters and stabilize the rift? But Chen Wang quickly gave up this idea. Monsters are just like humans, there are good ones and bad ones. If we really want world peace, we can only defeat them. Chen Wang sat cross-legged on the bed and practiced their Star Qi and Blood Kung Fu. The next morning, Chen Wang slowly opened his eyes. He felt the extra energy and blood in his body and couldn't help but feel happy. The progress he made in his training that night was more than 10 times what it was before he took the marrow cleansing pill. Today is the day of the monthly exam, so Chen Wang went out after washing up. When they arrived at school, Jonathan was already sitting in front of him. She looked at Chen Wang with a strange look in her eyes. Have you made a breakthrough in your cultivation? Jonathan mustered up the courage and turned her head. Chen Wang nodded. You've made a breakthrough, so you better give up your idea. I won't be with you. Jonathan blushed slightly and turned away with a bit of disappointment. Chen Wang had a blank expression on his face. Women will only slow down my sword drawing speed. The bell rang and the students followed their head teacher to the examination room for the monthly exam. Chen Wang followed behind the team. At this time, a student with a buzz cut came from the team of the next class. He looks shifty. Are you Chen Wang? He looked at Chen Wang in front of him curiously. Chen Wang was stunned for a moment, then quickly reacted. Showed up, this is one of the bootlickers of School Beauty Jonathan. Class 2, Grade 3 Qianhe. Average talent, average strength, average cultivation, and average grades. Everything is average and he looks like a very ordinary student in the warrior class. But his style of doing things is very unusual. Chen Wang had seen this person's stupid behavior on the forum of the school's official website. He once offended a rich young master because of his impulse, and was forced to kneel down and beg for mercy before he escaped. Later, he was so shameless as to provoke a poor student. Who knew that poor student was actually a hidden talent, and his cultivation was higher than the top student in their class at that time. So Qianhe was defeated again and was beaten to a pulp. There are more such stories. This is a typical case of a green hand who loves to show off. He is the main target of the protagonist in the novel who pretends to be a pig and eats the tiger. Such a brainless and impulsive person, if he were in a novel, he would definitely be a small minion who would not survive more than 3 chapters, not even a villain. Chapter 8, Third Class Medal. Chen Wang glanced at him and asked, Are you okay? Tianhe looked at him with disdain and said, I heard that Jonathan liked you, and I thought you were some peerless genius. Now it seems that you are just that loser in class 1. I warn you not to get too close to Jonathan, otherwise I won't forgive you. Chen threatened. Chen Wang looked at him as if he was a fool. He suddenly asked, "Do you know why Jonathan likes me?" Chen was stunned when he heard this, and looked at him and asked, "Why?" Chen Wang lifted his bangs and said, "Because I'm handsome." "Do you know why she doesn't like you?" "Because you not only have average looks and average talent, but you also have wild dreams every day, delusionally thinking that a toad like you can eat swan meat." Chen Wang looked at him with a mocking look on his face. "You?" Chen was so angry that his face turned red, and he pointed at Chen Wang and spoke with a trembling voice. "Get out of here." Chen Wang was puzzled and asked, "Why should I leave? This is your home. What qualifications do you have to ask me to leave? You have no talent, no looks, and your family background is average. Do you deserve to be asked to leave? If you have the guts, challenge me in a one-on-one duel." Chen stared at Chen Wang angrily with a red face. Chen Wang sneered and said, "You know what? When you get angry, you look like a gorilla." Chen was shaking with anger. Just as he was about to take action, he saw several leaders walking towards him not far away. "Just wait for me." He left with these harsh words. "You are too young to fight with me." Just when Chen Wang was feeling proud, the system's voice rang out. "It is detected that their host has encountered Chen, the face-slapping man who can't survive 3 chapters of the novel. Now issue system tasks happy smiley. You are showing off in front of me, how can I let you leave so easily?" Task Result 1, their host goes forward and punches him, knocking him away, and is rewarded with a one-time martial arts skill Divine Punch. Task Result 2, their host surpassed him in the monthly examination and was rewarded with a significant improvement in physical fitness. Chen Wang was overjoyed when he heard the voice of the system. He didn't expect that this could trigger the system task. Chen is really a lucky star. As for the results of the 2 system tasks, only children would make a choice, but Chen Wang wanted them all. He strode forward without hesitation and used their dragon fist to hit Chen back, knocking him away. "Congratulations to their host for completing the first task, and you will be rewarded with a one-time martial arts skill Divine Punch. The reward has been stored in the system space, and the host can withdraw it at any time." The candidates around him noticed Chen Wang's actions and couldn't help but widen their eyes. "Fuck. That's awesome. This guy is so cruel. He actually dared to beat someone up before the monthly exam. Doesn't he know that this will disqualify him from the assessment? He is too impulsive. He seems to be the loser Chen Wang from class 1, who actually beat Chen away. Although Chen is a weakling, he is still a first-level warrior after all. It seems that Chen Wang has also become a first-level warrior. Who is causing trouble?" A group of leaders rushed over upon hearing the noise. The principal looked at Chen Wang seriously. "What a joke! The leaders from above came to inspect, and yet there are still people who dare to cause trouble." "Chen Wang." A class teacher from the back of the crowd hurried out. "How can you hit someone? Is he from your class?" The principal looked at the middle-aged man with glasses, the head teacher of class 1, with a questioning look on his face. "Yes, principal." He pleaded, "He was just impulsive. Please don't cancel his qualification for the assessment. He usually works very hard and finally reached the first level." From the fact that Chen Wang just knocked Chen away, it can be seen that he has become a first-level warrior. "But I didn't expect him to be so impulsive." The middle-aged man was really happy and worried. In his impression, Chen Wang has always been a hard-working student. Some time ago, he gave up on himself because of his poor performance in the midterm exam. He had given up on this student, but he did not expect that he would become a first-level warrior. The school has a rule that if you cause trouble on the day of the monthly exam, you will be disqualified from the exam. In order to prevent Chen Wang from being sent back to the regular class, he quickly pleaded with the principal. The principal's face turned dark. You have to know that there is more than one leader standing behind him. How embarrassed should he be? Chen Wang was not panicked at all at this time. His eyes met with the middle-aged man in police inspector's uniform standing behind the principal. The middle-aged man in uniform was obviously a little surprised. "Brother Chen." He suddenly spoke. "Captain, I didn't expect you to be here too." Chen Wang greeted him with a smile. He knew the rule that one should not cause trouble on the day of the monthly exam. If he had not just happened to catch a glimpse of a familiar figure standing behind the principal, he would not have dared to do anything. Their head teacher of Class 1 was stunned when he heard this, and he looked at Chen Wang with some surprise. Unexpectedly, Chen Wang actually knew the chief inspector of police. At this time, Tianhe climbed up from the ground in a panic. "Principal, you must cancel his qualification for the assessment. He hit me and seriously affected my performance in the assessment." The inspector advised, "Why not just forget it? I think there must be something else going on. I know Brother Chen well. He would never do this for no reason." Upon hearing this, the principal glanced at Chen Wang and said, "Student, can you explain why you hit someone?" Chen Wang pretended to be filled with grief and indignation and said, "He insulted me as a loser and threatened to beat me up. He has a crush on Jongason. It's not my fault that Jongason likes me. Is it wrong for her to like handsome guys? Is it wrong for me to be liked by others? Could Jongason like someone who looks like an orangutan? You?" Tianhe's face flushed, and he looked very much like the gorilla Chen Wang saw in the zoo in his previous life. "This is what's wrong with you, Tianhe schoolmate." The principal looked at Tianhe and said, "How can you insult others for no reason? And even threaten others? Your behavior is very bad. This is cold violence. Since you were beaten, I won't bother with you today. I'll apologize to classmate Chen Wang and let this matter go." Tianhe opened his mouth, wanting to say something but couldn't. "Principal Zhang, I didn't expect the students in your school to behave so badly. I'm so disappointed." The supervisor shook his head in disappointment. The principal glared at Tianhe and said, "Apologize now." "Yes, I'm sorry," Tianhe said to Chen Wang with reluctance. "Although you hurt my weak heart for no reason, I will forgive you for your apology." Chen Wang acted like a great man who didn't care about the mistakes of a small person, which made Tianhe so angry that he almost vomited blood. Tianhe left here in shame. "Brother Chen," the inspector said, "last time you promptly informed us of the hidden crisis in South City, thus preventing a disaster from happening. I have provided your basic information and merit report as above. As expected, you should receive a third-level medal." Third-level medal. Hearing his words, Chen Wang couldn't help but feel happy. He didn't know the rules for how to obtain the third-level medal, but he remembered clearly that obtaining the medal would give extra points in the military examination. Chapter 9 Qin Qingxue. Senior sister. The students watching around became excited after hearing the supervisor's words. "Did I hear correctly? Chen Wang won the third-level medal. The intelligence he provided helped the people of Nanxia avoid a disaster. Who told me he was useless? He must have been hiding his strength before." When the head teacher of Class 1 heard what the supervisor said, he froze in place. "What? Did I hear that correctly? The last-ranked student in our class won the third-level medal?" He said to the middle-aged commander in disbelief, "Commander, is this a mistake? How could Chen Wang?" The governor said, "That's him." He looked at the principal of number 1 middle school and said with emotion, "Your school is so lucky to have a student like Brother Chen." The principal looked at Chen Wang with some surprise. "You know, although the third-level medal is the lowest-level medal, for a school, it is a great honor if a student wins this medal. Especially when being praised by the inspector in front of countless leaders, it is such an honor." He said with great pride, "Chen Wang has always been an excellent student in our school. I have always felt that he will be a promising person in the future." Chen Wang smiled without saying anything, but did not refute the principal's words. In the auditorium, Chen Wang followed the class crowd. On the high podium, the principal was explaining the assessment rules seriously. The leaders sat next to the podium. Chen Wang yawned. The speech in this school really hasn't changed at all from his previous life. It's all a bunch of nonsense. Finally, after the principal finished speaking, everyone hurried to the playground. There are more than a dozen instruments for testing qi and blood placed on the playground. According to Chen Wang's guess, there should be no more than 3 people who fail the qi and blood test this time. Chen Wang passed this level easily. A qi and blood value of 1000 is the threshold for the first level, and Chen Wang's qi and blood value is exactly at 1000. Finally, he became a first-level warrior without any danger. The second assessment is a strength assessment, which takes place in several classrooms on the second floor. Chen Wang also reached the standard very easily. What Chen Wang did not expect was that his strength had reached the level of the middle stage of the first stage. This should be the credit of the marrow cleansing pill. The third assessment was a speed assessment, which was held on the playground. Chen Wang also ran out of the first stage midterm results. The day passed like this, and there was only one final assessment left to be held tomorrow. After school, just as Chen Wang was about to leave, Jongason came up to him. "How are you today?" Jongason asked with concern. "I heard you had a fight with that Chinher." Chen Wang looked at her suspiciously and said, "Who told you that I had a fight with him?" He said seriously, "I punched him and he didn't move at all." "Are you kidding me? Fighting with me? Is he worthy?" Jongason asked worriedly, "Did those leaders say anything to you?" Chen Wang shook his head and said, "No, otherwise you wouldn't be able to see me now. If there's nothing else, I'll leave first." Chen Wang glanced at her, then left with his school bag. Jongason was left with a confused look on her face. Chen Wang returned home alone. As usual, he took out the key and inserted it into the door hole, but found that the door was not locked. He was stunned for a moment, then quickly opened the door. What hit me was the aroma of food and the scent of a woman. Chen Wang immediately became alert. Walking to the kitchen door, Chen Wang saw a woman standing inside. Her long snow-white hair was draped over her back. She was wearing a snow-white skirt and an apron, and was cooking. Feeling the movement behind her, she slowly turned her head. This glance left Chen Wang stunned. With a delicate face, clear eyes, and skin as white as ice and jade, she looks like a fairy from heaven. Who are you?" Chen Wang widened his eyes. "Why are you in my house?" The fairy smiled sweetly at Chen Wang. "You are junior brother Chen Wang, right?" That enchanting smile stunned Chen Wang, and he was unable to react for a moment. "Who are you?" After reacting, Chen Wang asked in confusion. "Wait a moment, the food isn't ready yet. I'll explain it to you later." The woman turned around and continued what she was doing. At the dining table, Chen Wang stared at the woman who was walking over with a plate. She put the dish on the table. Looking at the sumptuous food on the table, Chen Wang swallowed his saliva involuntarily. Chen Wang asked, "Who are you? Why are you in my house? Also, why do you call me junior brother?" The woman smiled and said, "My master asked me to come and take care of you." "Master?" Chen Wang frowned. The woman explained, "It's your mother." "My mother?" Chen Wang suddenly understood. "In my memory, my mother seemed to be the leader of a certain sect. It would make sense if the woman in front of me was my mother's disciple." Beep beep. At this time, Chen Wang's cell phone rang. A message came from an account with the note, "Mom. Did you see your senior sister?" "Mom, what's going on? Why did you ask her to take care of me?" Chen Wang asked in confusion. Beep beep. "Mom, your dad and I have offended some people recently. I was afraid they would go after you, so I sent your sister to protect you. Mom, remember to get along well with your senior sister." For some reason, Chen Wang felt that his mother seemed to have something else to say. He put away his phone and looked at the stunningly beautiful senior sister in front of him, feeling a little disdainful. My mother really doesn't understand herself at all. If there is no woman in her heart, she will be like a god when she draws the sword. "Senior sister, what is your name?" Chen Wang asked. "My name is Qin Qingxue." The woman smiled brightly. "Senior sister Qin, which sect are you from?" Chen Wang asked curiously. "Although my mother is the leader of that sect, I only know that she is the leader of a sect. As for how big this sect was or what it was called, he had no idea. This cannot be disclosed." Qin Qingxue shook her head. Hearing this, Chen Wang's curiosity about his mother's sect grew even stronger. So mysterious? After finishing dinner and vacating the guest room for his senior sister, Chen Wang took the initiative to wash the dishes. After washing the dishes, Chen Wang went to the guest room and saw that his senior sister was already sitting cross-legged on the bed practicing. The bathroom in the guest room was empty. He asked, "Senior sister, do you need me to buy some daily necessities for you?" Qin Qingxue slowly opened her beautiful eyes. "I'll go with you. They should be here by now." "I'm afraid you'll run into them." Chen Wang nodded. He knew that that his senior sister was referring to were the people that his mom and dad had offended. Chen Wang took Qin Qingxue out. Qin Qingxue was wearing a white mask that covered the lower half of her face. But it couldn't stop her cool and moving temperament. After buying daily necessities and just returning home, Chen Wang received a call from Fatih. "Hey. Fatty. Chen Wang, I heard that you won the third level medal. The fat man's voice was a little excited. Chen Wang said helplessly, I see, you saw this on the school forum again. The school forum is so horrible that you can find countless gossips about students inside and outside the school. Chapter 10, Evil Moon Holy Land. You guys have won such a great honor, shouldn't you come out and celebrate, said the fat man. Celebrate? Chen Wang was stunned. Come to think of it, we haven't had a reunion for a long time. It's a good opportunity for us to get together as good brothers, taking advantage of the fact that you've won the third level medal. The fat man explained. What time? Chen Wang asked. It's better to do it today than to wait for another day. Let's do it today. Monkey and Housie are already sitting in the old street barbecue restaurant. Come over quickly. After saying that, he hung up the phone. Thinking of his brothers, Chen Wang couldn't help but smile. As far as he could remember, Chen Wang had a very good relationship with them before they were divided into classes in their second year of high school. They all called each other brothers, fought together, and skipped classes. Later, they went to ordinary classes, and Chen Wang went to the warrior class. So they haven't been together for a long time. Qin Shua also heard what the fat man said when Chen Wang opened the speakerphone just now. She asked, want to go out? Yeah. Chen Wang nodded. I'll go out with you. Qin Shua put away the daily necessities she had just bought, and then the two of them went out together. Arriving at the place agreed with Fatty and his friends were sitting and grilling meat. Suddenly, the skinny monkey raised his head and saw Chen Wang walking not far away. And the woman following behind him. Fuck! Monkey couldn't help but shout, look, Chen Wang is here. The short mouse lowered his head and brushed the barbecue in his hands without any concern, saying, it's here, so what's the big deal? There's a beautiful woman following him. Following the monkey's words, the mouse and the fat man raised their heads at the same time. What the hell, they both said almost in unison. Chen Wang walked up to them and sat down, and Qin Shua followed and sat down behind him. What's wrong with you? Keep roasting. I'm still waiting to eat it. Chen Wang couldn't help feeling a little uncomfortable as he was stared at by the three men. Who is this? The fat man spoke first. Chen Wang thought for a moment and said, this is my distant cousin. Monkey asked in confusion, is your cousin a warrior? His eyes were fixed on the long sword hanging on Qin Shua's waist. Yes. Chen Wang replied. Hello cousin, I am Chen Wang's friend Wang Ming. The fat man greeted Qin Shua enthusiastically. I'm Lin Hao. I am Hu Duan. Qin Shua nodded and said, hello, I am Chen Wang's cousin. She looked at the three of them expressionlessly, then slowly said, you guys eat, I'll just watch. The atmosphere suddenly became a little awkward. Qin Shua sat calmly, emitting a cold aura. Housie couldn't help but whisper to Chen Wang, is your cousin so aloof? Chen Wang glanced at Qin Shua and nodded. The fat guy spoke first, a year ago, a few of us skipped classes and fought together. Although it was a bit childish during that time, I still miss it very much when I think back on it now. Housie also said with emotion, 1 month before the division, Chen Wang said that you wanted to enter the warrior class. At that time, we didn't believe it. I didn't expect that you would start to work hard and actually pass the exam. Now you have also won the third level medal. It really brings honor to us brothers. The monkey joked to Chen Wang, you are much more promising than the rest of us. When you become famous in the future, don't forget us brothers. Chen Wang picked up his beer and clinked it with Monkey, don't worry, I will never forget you. The four of them were eating barbecue. After the meat was cooked, Chen Wang handed a piece of meat to Qin Shua, but Qin Shua politely declined, saying that she wanted to lose weight. Chen Wang couldn't help but look at Qin Shua's perfect figure. Does she need to lose weight to have such a figure? Girls are trouble. At this moment, Qin Shua's eyes became alert. Chen Wang was biting a piece of barbecue when suddenly, the system's voice rang out. An unknown person is detected approaching. Now issue system tasks happy smiley. Host, please deal with them by yourself within 10 minutes. Task Result 1, Success, Reward for third level warrior cultivation. Task Result 2, Failure, Reward, Primary detoxification pills X3. As soon as the system finished speaking, Chen Wang looked up and saw three men in black quietly walking towards him. Just as Chen Wang was about to stand up, Qin Qingxue behind him moved first. She drew the snow-white sword from her waist, and an extremely cold aura burst out from her body. The three men in black were frozen into ice sculptures as soon as they drew their weapons. Feeling the coldness on his body, Chen Wang couldn't help but widen his eyes. The system's voice sounded at this time. Congratulations to the host for completing the second task and receiving 3 detoxification pills as a reward. The reward has been stored in the system space, and the host can withdraw it at any time. The people around were all pale and shivering from the cold. Qin Qingxue quickly restrained the cold aura she was emitting. She frowned and walked over to the 3 ice sculptures. Chen Wang walked behind her and asked, "Is this the person my parents offended?" Qin Qingxue shook her head, "Not these people." Chen Wang looked at the 3 ice sculptures carefully. He always felt that these people looked familiar. That's right. He remembered. These men in black were wearing the same clothes as the ones he ran into in the woods last time who were trading with monsters. In other words, they are also members of the evil god cult. Chen Wang said slowly, "They seem to be the ones I provoked." Qin Qingxue looked at him curiously, "Tell me what's going on. Who are these 3 people?" "They are followers of the evil god cult." Chen Wang told what happened that day. After hearing his words, Qin Qingxue looked at the 3 ice sculptures with cold eyes. Chen Wang asked curiously, "Is the evil god cult powerful?" He had wanted to ask his master this question that day, but he forgot about it after he went to the police station. Qin Qingxue said calmly, "The evil god cult is a small organization. It is still okay among the organizations in South City. Outside the city, it is just a second-level sect. Their people have committed many evil deeds and are negative examples among many demon sects." After hearing Qin Qingxue's words, Chen Wang asked curiously, "The demon sect still has positive teaching materials?" Qin Qingxue nodded, a hint of disgust flashing in her beautiful eyes. "There are a small number of demon sects that practice magic but still have a bottom line and will not kill innocent people indiscriminately, but some of their actions are still a bit extreme. After all, those who can practice magic skills are not ordinary people." Chen Wang asked, "Is the person my parents offended this time the demon sect?" Qin Qingxue nodded, "It's a demon sect called Evil Moon Holy Land." Evil Moon Holy Land. Chen Wang searched for information about this holy land in his mind. After a moment, he couldn't help but shook his head. The memories of his previous life did not include many aspects of knowledge related to warriors, and he knew nothing about any major events or powerful sects in the martial arts world. Chapter 11 Final Assessment, Simulation of Crack Number 5. Chen Wang said hello to Fatty and the others, then followed Qin Qingxue and left. After returning home, Qin Qingxue went back to her bedroom to practice. Chen Wang checked the efficacy of the detoxification pill he had just obtained. Level 3 detoxification pill can remove the toxic effects of any poison below level 3. This thing seems to be of no use to me. Chen Wang raised his eyebrows. Forget it, just keep it for now, in case it comes in handy in the future. Chen Wang took a shower and then sat on the bed to practice the Star Chi and Blood Kung Fu. The next morning, the sun shone on Chen Wang's handsome face. Chen Wang slowly opened his eyes, got up, washed, and left the bedroom. A burst of fragrance wafted into my nose. Chen Wang was stunned for a moment, then reacted. I no longer live alone. At the dining table, Qin Qingxue cooked a sumptuous breakfast. Looking at Chen Wang, he couldn't help swallowing. He asked with some doubt, "Senior sister Qin, how come you are such a good cook?" Qin Qingxue thought for a moment and said, "Master said that no one in the sect can cook, so he asked me to learn cooking skills during my free time." Chen Wang couldn't help but tremble in his heart when he recalled the dark dishes his mother made. The dishes cooked by senior sister are still delicious. After dinner, Qin Qingxue heard that Chen Wang was going to school. "Offer to go with him so that you can protect him." Qin Qingxue followed Chen Wang to the school gate. Looking at the students coming and going in front of him, Chen Wang hurriedly urged Qin Qingxue to leave. What a joke! He didn't want the school forum to have another piece of gossip headline tonight. Chen Wang, the object of the school beauty's admiration, is suspected to be in love with a cold and beautiful woman. Entered the school and walked into the classroom. Almost all the students in the class have arrived. Today they will take the last test of the monthly exam. In previous years, the last test of the monthly exams was irrelevant, so Chen Wang had no idea what the test would be. The time was almost up, and Chen Wang followed the crowd to the assessment location. We lined up in the school auditorium and listened to another boring speech by the principal. After enduring this period of time, the candidates arrived at the examination location. The final assessment was held at the back hill of the school. Following the school leaders into the back mountain, many students were confused. They originally thought that the assessment would be held in the school, but unexpectedly it was arranged in the back mountain of the school. At the foot of the back mountain, Chen Wang saw a huge circle of light surrounding the entire mountain. This is not visible at a distance because the light from the aperture is somewhat dim. All the candidates from the 5 classes of the Senior 3 Warrior Department gathered at the foot of the mountain. The principal shouted through a loudspeaker, "The last assessment today is a simulated crack drill. We will simulate the monsters in the number 5 rift. After you enter this aperture, everything you encounter will be virtual yet real. The rules of this assessment are, points are awarded based on the number of monsters killed. You can also kill students from different groups and get half of their points, and the students who were killed will only have their original points counted. If you die in there, you will be eliminated and will be automatically teleported out." The teachers began to distribute scoring rings to the candidates. Wearing the transparent scoring ring, Chen Wang was eager to try it out. After all, he was the one who had actually been to the number 5 crack. He was curious about how real this simulated rift number 5 was. At this time, the principal's voice rang out again. "The team formation for this assessment is 2-person. You have 10 minutes to find your teammates, or you can choose to go alone." Chen Wang looked around, and to be honest, no one was familiar to him. After his predecessor entered the warrior class, many people were unwilling to make friends with him due to his poor talent, and he did not have the face to get to know others. Therefore, almost none of the candidates taking part in the monthly examination this time were teammates that Chen Wang could find. Just as Chen Wang was about to take the test alone, a pleasant female voice rang out, "Chen Wang, join me in a team." Chen Wang was very familiar with this voice. "It's Jongason." He looked up and saw Jongason walking straight towards him. Chen Wang asked doubtfully, "There should be many people willing to team up with you, right?" Jongason stared at Chen Wang with her beautiful eyes and said, "But I just want to team up with you." Hearing her words, Chen Wang couldn't help but curl his lips. At this moment, he seemed to hear the heartbreaking sounds of countless boys around him. Click. Chen Wang hesitated for a moment. Since he was alone, he decided to agree to her. "Anyway, it's not like I've agreed to be with her, and her personal strength is obvious to all." So Chen Wang agreed to team up with her. Looking at the excitement in Jongason's eyes, Chen Wang couldn't help feeling a little helpless. After all, you are the school belle, can't you be more reserved? The time began to count down, and Chen Wang and Jongason walked into the light circle together. When I stepped into the aperture, the scene before my eyes remained unchanged. Just when Chen Wang was wondering how to enter the simulated crack number 5, he suddenly felt a flash before his eyes. The next second, he opened his eyes. He found himself standing in front of a lake. Turning around, he saw Jongason standing next to him. She was looking around curiously with her head tilted. Those familiar trees, the familiar open space. Chen Wang was completely certain that this was crack number 5. To be precise, it should be a simulation of crack number 5. Jongason exclaimed in amazement, "This place feels so real." Chen Wang nodded, "In my opinion, this should be a simulation of a valley in the number 5 rift." Just as Chen Wang was still observing his surroundings, the ground suddenly shook. Without time to think, Chen Wang grabbed Jongason's soft little hand and hid behind a tree. He witnessed with his own eyes a giant yellow dragon about 3 meters tall stepping over where the 2 men had just stood. Judging from its aura, the dragon is at least a 3rd-level monster. "That's Wang Long," Jongason muttered. Chen Wang nodded. He rubbed his hand subconsciously and suddenly felt his fingers sliding across a smooth surface. Only then did he react and quickly let go of his hand. Jongason's face turned red, but she was obviously feeling somewhat smug inside. Chen Wang coughed and pretended that nothing had happened. He advised, "Let's go quickly. There are 3rd-level monsters here, which means this is a gathering place for 3rd-level monsters. We have to leave here quickly, otherwise if we encounter a 3rd-level monster again, we won't be as lucky as this time." Jongason pecked the little head obediently. The 2 of them then went in the opposite direction of the dragon's direction. Outside the aperture, the leaders and teachers of number 1 middle school, as well as the police inspector, were standing not far away, watching. There was a large screen floating above their heads, divided into countless pictures. Just now they saw several groups of candidates encountered high-level monsters as soon as they entered and were eliminated directly. At the edge of the aperture, several students suddenly appeared. Their eyes were all a little confused, and in just a moment, they were all eliminated. Some of them had regret in their eyes, and some had unwillingness in their eyes. But there is no chance to repeat the assessment, and even less so in life. Chapter 12: Elimination of Qianhe. Chen Wang took Zhonghasen away from the place where they first landed. Along the way, they killed many half-level and first-level monsters, and even a few second-level monsters. Of course, the journey was not entirely peaceful, as they encountered quite a few third-level monsters. When he found that he couldn't defeat the opponent, Chen Wang quickly pulled Zhonghasen and ran away. In this way, I earned a lot of points, and my numerical ranking on the scoring ring reached third place. Chen Wang suddenly grabbed Zhonghasen. What's wrong? Zhonghasen asked puzzledly. Chen Wang pointed to the sky. The sky was covered with dark clouds, lightning and thunder, and the lightning was blood red. This is not right. Chen Wang said calmly, does this look familiar to you? Zhonghasen was stunned for a moment. Are you saying that someone is going through a thunder tribulation? Chen Wang nodded and said, I guess this is the situation we encountered that day. The time point of today's simulation should be the day when my master survived the thunder tribulation. When the thunder strikes, all the monsters will become agitated. We must quickly find a secluded place to hide. Outside the aperture, countless candidates suddenly appeared at the edge. They were all a little surprised. Just now they were hunting monsters to earn points, when suddenly the ground began to shake, and then countless third-level or even fourth-level monsters rushed over and trampled them to the ground. A teacher frowned. Principal, this. The principal looked at the supervisor beside him and said, this is a surprise that the supervisor and I prepared for our students. Sometimes being more alert can save your life. You know, accidents are everywhere. Chen Wang and Zhonghasen hid in a tree hole. The ground kept shaking, and after a long time, there was finally no movement. Chen Wang took Zhonghasen out of the tree hole cautiously. After making sure there was no danger around, Chen Wang took a look at the points on his bracelet and saw that he was still in third place. It seems that during the monster riot, many candidates were eliminated, and even if they weren't, they wouldn't be able to go out and kill monsters. This resulted in no change in the points ranking. Chen Wang smiled at Zhonghasen and said, let's go and find some big stuff. Big cargo. Zhonghasen felt that she was a little confused about Chen Wang's thinking. What big stuff? Follow me and you will understand. Chen Wang smiled mysteriously. On a huge tree, a boy with a crew cut slowly climbed down from the tree. He breathed a sigh of relief. Just now, a huge monster almost crushed him, but fortunately he reacted quickly and climbed up the tree in time. But his teammates were not so lucky. They were crushed into meat paste by the monsters and eliminated. I shouldn't have teamed up with him if I had known. He's such a loser. Qianhe muttered to himself. There was some complaint in his tone. If everyone else had teammates at that time, and the only one left was the guy who had just stepped into the first level, I would definitely not choose to be his teammate. By the way, I don't know whether that loser Chen Wang has been eliminated. Thinking of this, he clicked on the ranking on the scoring ring. The ranking of your team is 51st, and Chen Wang is 3rd. Qianhe was stunned. He didn't expect that Chen Wang, whom he considered a waste, would become the 3rd place. He shook his head and consoled himself, it should be Zhonghasen's credit. He can't be that strong. What a loser who only knows how to rely on women. I really don't know how the school belle fell in love with him. He touched his crew cut and pinched his greasy skin. Isn't it just that he is a little more handsome than me? Is he a little more luckier than me? He said to himself. Ever since he heard the rumor yesterday that Chen Wang had won the 3rd level medal, he had always believed that Chen Wang must have been lucky and had accidentally discovered the information about the transaction between the evil god church and monsters, which led to this achievement. I can do it too. Just as he was about to hit the road to look for low-level monsters, suddenly, he heard a burst of hurried footsteps. He turned his head suddenly and found Chen Wang standing behind him. Chen Wang waved at him. He was stunned for a second, and then an angry look gradually appeared on his face. He recalled how he was knocked flying by a punch yesterday, and he couldn't help but get angry and embarrassed. How dare you show up? I was just about to go look for you. As he said this, he clenched his fists and rushed towards Chen Wang. You are such a despicable person who can only launch sneak attacks. Before he could finish his words, Chen Wang's fist landed on his face. He raised his foot and kicked him, sending him flying. Chen Wang held his forehead and felt helpless. He hadn't expected this man to actually think he could beat him. After all, his own strength is at the middle level of the First Order, and with their dragon fist, he has at least the strength of the peak of the First Order. Chen crawled up from the ground with a dejected look. He opened his eyes wide and looked at Chen Wang in disbelief. A white light flashed on Chen Wang's hand, and he extracted the middle-grade spiritual weapon he had obtained that day, the light blue sword from the system space. Chen Wang mobilized his chi and blood, strode forward, and eliminated Chen with one sword. Watching Chen body turn into golden light, Chen Wang turned around and shouted behind the giant tree, I've dealt with him, you can come out now. Jonathan came out from behind the tree and asked in surprise, you have a space spirit weapon? Chen Wang nodded. He looked down at the bracelet and couldn't help but feel a little disdainful. I didn't expect that I only got 100 points after eliminating him. That means Chen itself only has 200 points. Killing a half-level monster will earn you 20 points, and killing a first-level monster will earn you 50 points. After such a long time, I only killed a few monsters. Chen Wang couldn't help but shook his head as he thought about it. Chen Wang and his teammate are still ranked third in the standings. Chen Wang thought for a moment and said, let's go kill 2 more big fish. In an open space, 2 students were working together to resist a second-level monster. After being exhausted, they finally managed to severely injure the monster. The monster still had a breath left, but was already lying on the ground weakly. Just when they were about to go up and finish off the enemy, suddenly a flash of sword light appeared, and they watched helplessly as the second-level monster that they had worked so hard to beat and severely injured turned into golden light. Who is it? The 2 were stunned for just a second, then shouted angrily in unison. Chen Wang slowly walked out from the bushes. It's you? The 2 of them widened their eyes. Chen Wang smiled slightly, hand over your points. On the other side, Jonathan, holding a long knife, easily and gracefully dealt with 2 students. 2 students sat on the ground, their faces filled with disbelief as they turned into golden light. They didn't expect that the seemingly weak school beauty could be so cruel and ruthless, killing them without blinking an eye. Jonathan looked down at the bracelet and saw that the 2 people on it were now ranked first. Chapter 13, the final assessment is over, Jonathan and Qin Qingxue. She smiled faintly, and when she thought of the achievement that she and Chen Wang had won together, Jonathan's eyes were filled with tenderness. Chen Wang eliminated them while they were both confused. Before their bodies disappeared, they looked incredulous that the 2 of them could not beat a person in the early stage of the first level. Chen looked at the bracelet and saw that he and Jonathan were already ranked first, and couldn't help but smile slightly. At this time, a figure jumped out from the bushes behind. Chen Wang turned around quickly, and a white energy gathered rapidly in front of him, turning into a fist and rushing towards the figure. Thumping. The man turned into golden light in an instant. Feeling the message emitted by the golden light, Chen Wang couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he reacted quickly and was almost ambushed. The man just now was at the peak of the first level. If I were ambushed by him, I would definitely be doomed. He looked a little surprised. He didn't expect that this one-time skill would be so useful and the energy would gather so quickly. The one-time martial arts skill he just used was the Divine Fist that he acquired yesterday. According to the system introduction, the power of God's punch is so great that it can instantly kill any creature below level 3. Chen Wang looked down at the ranking on the bracelet again and saw that his points had increased by 1/3. It seems that the person just now is the only remaining member of the second-place team. At this time, I don't know how many candidates are left. Jonathan felt the burst of energy and blood not far away and hurried over. She was relieved to see that Chen Wang was fine. She looked at Chen Wang with concern, are you okay? Chen Wang shook his head and told the story of how he was almost attacked just now. That guy probably didn't expect that his failed sneak attack would actually help us. There shouldn't be many candidates alive now. Let's go find some monsters to gain points and stabilize this ranking first. Chen Wang said. By the clear stream, Chen Wang killed a second-level monster with one sword. He looked at Jonathan behind him, then lowered his head to look at the score ring. The current score has reached more than 3,000 points, far exceeding the second place by more than 1,000 points. At this moment, a dark shadow came down from the sky and blocked out the sun. Chen Wang looked up and saw a giant bird flying over his head. Suddenly, the giant bird tilted its body downward and swooped down towards Chen Wang and the other man. Chen Wang's face changed. This aura is at least that of a fourth-level monster. Outside the aperture, there were only a few images left on the screen above my head. The principal looked at the giant bird swooping down towards Chen Wang and the other man. He stroked his beard and said, "It looks like they will be eliminated too." The supervisor at the side smiled and shook his head, saying, "Not necessarily." Hearing this, the principal looked curiously at the picture of Chen Wang and the other person on the screen. A giant bird fell from the sky, and a white light flashed in Chen Wang's hand, and a branch appeared in his hand. The principal was stunned. What was going on? The next second, his pupils couldn't help but dilate. In the picture, the branch sword in Chen Wang's hand shines brightly. Then, the screen shattered. The aperture gradually faded. The remaining candidates were all teleported out. Everyone looked a little dazed. Just now, some of them were fighting monsters, while others were hiding in secret places, preparing to survive until the end of the assessment. Unexpectedly, everything turned white in front of their eyes, and then they were all teleported out. The principal looked at Chen Wang not far away with a look of shock on his face. "What was that just now?" he asked puzzledly. The commander smiled and said, "The sword energy of the sword immortal." At this time, Chen Wang came back to his senses, still holding a withered branch in his hand. "What's going on? How did you get out?" He stared around and found that there were many candidates like him who were also looking around with puzzled expressions. It seems that they have all been sent out. Just then, the system's voice rang. Complete the task result to their host's performance in the monthly examination far surpassed Chenher, and get the reward of a significant improvement in physical fitness. Chen Wang felt a warmth inside his body. It seemed that the mission reward had taken effect. "I don't know how much my physical condition has improved now." Zhang Asin's beautiful eyes stared straight at the withered branch in Chen Wang's hand. She knew that it was given to Chen Wang by Tang Zhenxian. Chen Wang sighed. He had wasted the sword energy his master had given him in this test. "I didn't expect that the space would be shattered as soon as I activated the sword energy. This assessment simulation space is too unstable." The principal announced the results. The first place team in this assessment is Chen Wang and Zhang Asin from Class 1. The second place goes to Wu Yongjian and Wu Nan from Class 3. The third place goes to Zhang Jiafeng and Li Ming from Class 5. The rest of the candidates can ask the teachers for their own scores. The assessment is over and the overall ranking will be announced tomorrow. It was already noon, and Chen Wang returned to the office after the assessment. While packing his school bag, he suddenly heard two people talking about something nearby. "Have you heard? This morning, a great man came alone with a sword and found the headquarters of the South City Evil God Church, and severely injured their leader. The Evil God Church is now half crippled. Even the leader is disabled. I don't think it will last much longer." Chen Wang was stunned when he heard this, and a beautiful face appeared in his mind. Could it be her? Chen Wang stood up with his school bag on his back and was about to go home quickly. Suddenly, he found that Zhang Asin followed him. "What are you doing?" Chen Wang frowned. Zhang Asin looked at him and said, "Let's go together." Chen Wang opened his mouth, wanting to say something but no words came out. "Never mind, if she wants to follow, let her follow." When Chen Wang walked to the school gate, Zhang Asin was still following closely behind him. At this time, Chen Wang raised his head and saw a familiar figure. It was Qin Xingxue. She was standing in the crowd with a calm face and a cold temperament. Although she was wearing a mask, it still couldn't hide her stunning beauty. Countless eyes were focused on her, and she seemed to be the center of the world. At this time, a sturdy man with a green dragon tattoo on his arm walked towards Qin Xingxue. A sense of uneasiness flashed through Chen Wang's mind. "Beauty, are you alone?" The burly man said to Qin Xingxue with a wicked smile. "Get out." Qin Xingxue slowly uttered the word. The strong man not only refused to retreat, but became even more aggressive. He stretched out his hand and grabbed Qin Xingxue's hand. A flash of sword light appeared. "R!" the strong man screamed. Qin Xingxue looked at the burly man in front of her with disgust. The blade of the long sword in her hand was stained with blood. Get out of here now. The strong man covered his broken arm and left in panic. The students nearby were stunned when they saw this scene. Qin Qingxue put away her sword and walked straight towards Chen Wang. Junior brother. Qin Qingxue smiled faintly. This smile stunned Zhang, who was standing behind Chen Wang. Senior sister Qin. Chen Wang forced a smile. That smile was clearly uglier than crying. Chen Wang felt bitter inside. This was really terrible. Chapter 14. The evil moon saint suddenly broke into the bedroom. Shi Yuyin. Who is this? Zhang asked, staring at Chen Wang blankly. This is my senior sister. Chen Wang introduced to Zhang. This is my classmate Zhang. He glanced at Qin Qingxue and said. Qin Qingxue looked at Zhang standing behind Chen Wang curiously and chuckled, hello. I still have to take my junior brother home for dinner, so I won't bother you for now. As she said this, she hugged Chen Wang's arm. Chen Wang felt a softness on his arm and his body stiffened. Just like that, he was held in Qin Qingxue's arms and walked away. Zhang was left looking at the two people in confusion as they left, her eyes turning red. After returning home, Chen Wang quickly broke away from Qin Qingxue's arm. Senior sister, please respect yourself. Chen Wang said seriously. Qin Qingxue chuckled, it seems that the girl is interested in you. Chen Wang shook his head and said, being in love will only affect the speed of my cultivation. Senior sister, what do you want to eat for lunch? He looked at Qin Qingxue. I ordered takeout. Qin Qingxue said calmly. Takeout. Chen Wang couldn't help but ask curiously, Senior sister, where did you go this morning? I didn't go anywhere. I stayed at home. Qin Qingxue smiled slightly. Okay. Chen Wang curled his lips, looking unconvinced. He returned to his bedroom and opened the school forum. Sure enough, the first post was a piece of gossip titled Chen Wang, the object of the school beauty's admiration, is suspected to be in love with a cold and beautiful woman. The speed is really fast. It only took more than 10 minutes to come up with the gossip. Chen Wang put down his phone helplessly and took a deep breath. I drive away all distracting thoughts and yearn for light. Ding dong. There was a sound of doorbell outside the door, and a few seconds later, Qin Qingxue knocked on his door. Junior brother, it's time to eat. Chen Wang then walked out of the bedroom to eat. After eating the takeaway, Chen Wang returned to the bedroom. Sitting cross-legged on the bed practicing, time passed slowly. In the blink of an eye, it was dark and Chen Wang slowly opened his eyes. Go take a shower first. Chen Wang thought about it and walked into the bathroom. Boom. Suddenly, there was a loud noise in his ears. Who? Chen Wang walked to the window vigilantly. Suddenly a dark shadow pushed open the window outside and jumped into the bedroom. Chen Wang's pupils suddenly shrank, and he quickly drew out the sword from the system space. Who are you? He demanded. It's so hot. The dark figure stood up, and only then did Chen Wang see her formal appearance. She was a woman wearing tight black clothes with a curvy figure. The chest was so vast and majestic that Chen Wang looked upwards and was stunned. It was a delicate and cute baby face with a hint of baby fat. Her face was flushed, and looking at her expression, it seemed that she was constantly suppressing herself and was in great pain. She raised her head and saw Chen Wang, and a hint of impatience flashed in her beautiful eyes. Chen Wang felt something was wrong, and sure enough, the next second, the woman pounced on him. Chen Wang quickly stepped back, but leaned against the bed and could not move any further. The woman hugged him tightly. Chen Wang felt the softness coming from her body and quickly dissuaded her. Girl, please respect yourself. The woman seemed not to have heard his words and hugged him tighter and tighter. Chen Wang could clearly feel that his arm was pressing on something soft. Chen Wang's eyes widened, and at this moment, the system's voice rang. The host being tested was attacked by the saint of the evil moon Holy Land, Shi Yuyin. Now issue system tasks happy smiley. Host, please make a choice within 5 seconds. Task result 1, actively obey and go up. Reward for the intermediate skill, Shenyang Dafar. Quest result 2, women will only affect my sword speed. Try your best to stop this overconfident behavior and shout loudly for senior sister to save me. The reward is to increase your cultivation to the late stage of the first stage. Hearing what the system said, Chen Wang's eyes widened. The saint of the evil moon Holy Land. Isn't this the saint of the sect that my parents had offended? This is not too harsh. Without hesitation, Chen Wang pushed away Shi Yuyin, who was leaning against him. Seeing that she was about to get closer, Chen Wang shouted, "Senior sister, save me." The next second, bang! The bedroom door was kicked open. At the same time, the system voice sounded. Congratulations to their host for completing the second task, and the reward is that your cultivation level is upgraded to the late stage of the first stage. Chen Wang felt that his cultivation had been greatly improved. He didn't have time to think and leaned back quickly. Shi Yuyin fell towards him. Fortunately, my senior sister took action in time. Qin Qingxue jumped up and pulled Chen Wang up. Shi Yuyin fell where Chen Wang had just been lying. Chen Wang breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he almost lost his heart. Qin Qingxue protected Chen Wang behind her, and Shi Yuyin, who was lying on the bed, turned over with difficulty. She was breathing heavily, her face flushed, and she seemed to be in great pain. She is Shi Yuyin. Qin Qingxue frowned. Senior sister, do you know her? Chen Wang looked at his senior sister curiously. Qin Qingxue nodded and said, she is the saint of the evil moon holy land, Shi Yuyin. Why is she in your room? Qin Qingxue looked at Chen Wang with confusion. Chen Wang quickly waved his hands and said, I don't know either. He told what happened when Shi Yuyin climbed out of the window just now. Qin Qingxue walked forward and carefully looked at Shi Yuyin in front of her, and suddenly said, she must have been poisoned. Poisoned? Chen Wang was stunned when he heard that. Yes. Qin Qingxue nodded, I was poisoned by a poison that only a man can cure. Her eyes were fixed on Chen Wang. Chen Wang quickly waved his hand, I'm not that kind of person. Qin Qingxue looked at him calmly and said, then what do you think we should do? Chen Wang sighed and put his hand in his pocket. The next second, he took out a small medicine bottle. He poured a small red pill into his palm. What is this? Qin Qingxue asked curiously. Detoxification pill. Chen Wang said as he took a few steps forward. Just as Chen Wang approached her, Shi Yuyin moved again and grabbed towards Chen Wang. Fortunately, Qin Qingxue was prepared and stepped forward and hugged her tightly. Shi Yuyin struggled desperately, but was restrained by Qin Qingxue. The icy blood extended into Shi Yuyin's body through the palm of Qin Qingxue's hand, which was holding Shi Yuyin's arm. Her face gradually calmed down. Chen Wang used 2 fingers to pry open Shi Yuyin's cherry lips and stuffed the detoxification pill into them. Then Qin Qingxue put Shi Yuyin on the bed. Chen Wang breathed a sigh of relief and asked Qin Qingxue, what should we do next? Qin Qingxue looked at him and said, Master has offended her mother, and her mother is going to send people to arrest you. Now that she has mistakenly entered here, why don't we capture her first? Before she finished speaking, Chen Wang quickly shook his head, this is not too harsh. Chapter 15, Silly and Innocent Shi Yuyin, the mysterious senior sister. Qin Qingxue rolled her eyes at Chen Wang and said, I mean to leave her here first and let her testify for you that we saved her. Looking at her condition just now, she must have been framed by a villain and taken the poison, her chewing powder. You should know that if you take this medicine and don't take the antidote within a certain period of time or... As she spoke, Qin Qingxue suddenly stopped talking. Chen Wang also understood the meaning of her words and felt embarrassed to say it out loud. So Chen Wang nodded and said, I understand. If their holy lord of the evil moon holy land knew that we rescued the holy maiden of their holy land, they would not be embarrassed to continue sending people to capture me. How long will it take for her to wake up? Qin Qingxue asked. Chen Wang thought for a moment and said, it shouldn't take long. After all, this is a detoxification pill produced by the system. As the saying goes, anything produced by the system must be high quality. The two of them just sat quietly by the bed and waited. Finally, Shi Yuyin's long eyelashes moved slightly, and she slowly opened her beautiful eyes. As soon as she opened her eyes, she saw 2 people sitting beside the bed, and her beautiful eyes widened. It's you? Shi Yuyin stared at Qin Qingxue closely. Why am I here? What did you do? Shi Yuyin said in panic. Chen Wang and Qin Qingxue looked at each other. Qin Qingxue asked, have you forgotten what you just did? Shi Yuyin was slightly stunned, and her pretty nose wrinkled slightly. After thinking hard for a while, his face started to turn red. She screamed. Qin Qingxue quickly stepped forward and covered her mouth. After a moment, she finally calmed down. She looked at Chen Wang in front of her in a daze, her beautiful eyes sparkling. Chen Wang coughed lightly and said, "You just touched me and almost ruined my innocence. Tell me, how are you going to compensate me?" After hearing Chen Wang's words, not only Shi Yuyin was stunned, but Qin Qingxue was also unable to recover for a while. "What kind of brain circuit is this?" Shi Yuyin said softly, "How can I compensate you?" Chen looked into her eyes and saw that her gaze was somewhat evasive. He couldn't help but be surprised. Originally, after knowing that Shi Yuyin was the saint of the evil moon Holy Land, he thought she would have the personality of a little devil. Now it seems that he was completely wrong. This is not a little witch at all, it's clearly just a frightened little kitten. Qin Qingxue said, "We want you to go back and tell your mother that he saved you." Qin Qingxue repeated the same words she had just said to Chen Wang. After listening to it, Shi Yuyin didn't know whether she understood it or not. She nodded slightly, but her eyes were fixed on Chen Wang. Chen Wang felt his scalp tingling when he was stared at. For some reason, he felt that there was something wrong with the way the girl looked at him. He seemed to have seen this kind of look somewhere before, it was somewhat familiar. Qin Qingxue asked her, "How did someone poison you?" R. Shi Yuyin was stunned for a moment. She pouted her lips, frowned and thought hard. After a moment, she slowly said, "I think I was going to school here. On the way, I met an old lady who fell down. I went over to help her up. To thank me, she gave me a pink candy." "She gave you candy, and then you ate it?" Qin Qingxue looked at Shi Yuyin in front of her as if she was a fool. Shi Yuyin lowered her head and said, "She said she wanted to watch me eat, and I was embarrassed to refuse her." Chen Wang looked at the girl in front of him with a serious expression. She really is a big-breasted and brainless girl. It is said that fools have good fortunes. Even a child could believe such a trick. He suddenly felt a little worried about the IQ of this saint. Recalling the soft touch just now, Chen Wang couldn't help but shudder. "Stay calm." He quickly took a deep breath. Why does the air smell so good? It seems to have a milky and floral scent." Chen Wang was stunned and quickly stopped breathing. "Stay calm." Chen looked at the girl in front of him and hesitated. "This seems to be my bed." Shi Yuyin blushed when she heard this and quickly sat up from the bed. Qin Qingxue said to her, "Where is your home? Can I take you back?" Shi Yuyin whispered, "Can I live here?" "No." Chen Wang and Qin Qingxue said in unison. "What if people from your holy land come to our house and misunderstand us?" Qin Qingxue said with a frown. Shi Yuyin waved her hands and explained, "Don't worry, I will tell them. I promise they won't cause any trouble for you." "Why don't you go home?" Chen Wang asked puzzledly. Shi Yuyin whispered, "Actually, I ran away secretly by myself. I don't have a place to live in South City yet." Chen Wang suddenly realized what was going on after hearing this. No wonder she was poisoned and had no guards around her. Logically speaking, as the saint of the evil moon Holy Land, how could Shi Yuyin go out without guards by her side? Now it seems to make sense. She was also wearing a tight black outfit, and it seemed that she was sneaking out disguised as someone else. Shi Yuyin's hand flashed with white light, and she took out her cell phone from her space ring and said, "I'll call my mother right now." During the call, she spoke calmly and her mother didn't seem very angry. This was completely different from what Chen Wang had expected after a big fight between her and her mother. "Okay." After chatting for a while, she hung up the phone. Shi Yuyin said to Chen Wang excitedly, "My mother agreed to let me stay here. I also told her that you saved me, and she said that the matter with your parents was written off." Chen Wang breathed a sigh of relief. "That's good." Qin Qingxue looked at her and said, "There are no other bedrooms in the house, so you can live in one with me." Shi Yuyin glanced at Chen Wang, then pecked his little head obediently. Watching the two people leave his bedroom, Chen Wang lay down on the bed feeling relieved. Why is there still a scent of milk? It seems to be the lingering scent of Shi Yuyin just now. It smells quite good. Chen Wang crossed his legs, trying to enter into meditation and practice, but found that his mind was a little confused. What is going on? He was feeling very complicated at this moment. Unable to continue practicing, Chen Wang rubbed his brows and took out his cell phone. Click on the school forum. Chen Wang saw that the gossip about himself that ranked first had been replaced by other information. Seeing that message, Chen Wang couldn't help but feel confused. This morning, A female warrior wearing a white fox mask and holding a sword came to the South City Evil God Church and severely injured the leader of the Evil God Church. Click on the details and there is a photo attached. The photo was a little blurry, as if someone had secretly taken a picture of the back of the person from a distance. Looking at this familiar figure, Chen Wang was sure that she was Senior Sister Chen. Chen Wang was pondering. She must have found the secret base of the Evil God Church just for herself. Since the Church of the Evil God can cooperate with 5th level monsters, their leader's cultivation level must not be lower than 5th level. Senior Sister Chen was able to beat him severely. Senior Sister Chen's cultivation is at least at the 5th level. It seems that my parents are also extraordinary. Chapter 16, Runes Left by the Devil. Chen Wang browsed the forum for a while and found that half of the top 10 most popular posts were about him. The further he rode, the heavier his expression became. What the hell is this? Face-slapping man Qianhe has set another record. Another hidden master has been dug out by him. Shocked. The school beauty's inner admirer is actually a hidden master. Shocking. Chen Wang from the senior class 1 is playing dumb and eating the tiger. He has secretly cultivated to the 1st level and even has the strength to defeat a late 1st level warrior. These are nothing, after all, they are facts. But after seeing the following post, Chen Wang was completely stunned. Insider news. Chen Wang from the senior class 1 warrior class is actually the son of the supervisor. Chen Wang couldn't help but feel speechless. He clicked on the post. First floor, your news is a bit fake. What's the surname of the inspector, Chen? The second floor replied to the first floor, maybe it's an illegitimate child. Third floor, I heard that Chen Wang had a conflict with Qianhe yesterday, and his strength was directly exposed, so Qianhe was beaten away. Then the school leaders saw it, and the director actually made the decision for Chen Wang. There must be an inside story here. Fourth floor, everyone that Qianhe found seemed to have revealed their hidden strengths. Fifth floor, that's right, he is known as the face-slapping man in the underworld. Chen Wang didn't expect that those students actually thought he was the inspector's illegitimate son. This group of people really think the matter is not big enough. Chen Wang shook his head helplessly and put away his phone. In a wilderness outside of Nansha. An abandoned factory is located here. Around the factory, a dozen people in police inspector uniforms quietly approached the factory. Inside the factory, there is a huge abandoned machine. Hidden behind the machine is a passage leading underground. This passage was originally blocked by a spiritual device that concealed the space, but now it was completely exposed to the outside. Led by the inspector, the police officers walked down the passage one after another. At the end of the passage, there is a huge space. This is the base of the evil demon sect church. They have been hiding in Nansha for many years and were finally exposed today. When the police arrived, the underground base was empty. Inside they found numerous containers of blood. There were strange blood-red symbols painted on the walls of the underground base. The inspector standing at the front couldn't help but be shocked when he saw this. This is a demonic rune. The evil god that the Evil God Church is loyal to actually exists and is a demon. There are two types of monsters in the other world, one is the weird type and the other is the animal type. The proportion of strange creatures in the alien world is relatively small, but they are not inferior to animal monsters at all. Some of them can even suppress animal monsters at their high end. Demons are a small category of this kind of weird creatures and are also a relatively common race. Rumor has it that only demons above level 8 have their own runes. Demons above level 8 will look for their own believers in the human world, and help the demons practice by sacrificing human souls through their believers. The governor couldn't help but sigh. In the early days of the monster invasion, some scholars put forward a view: humanity's greatest enemy will be humanity itself, not monsters. This view has precedence, and the many internal conflicts caused by traitors in the middle and late stages of the monster invasion also proved this point. Fortunately, humans as a whole are relatively united, and this is how they drove the monsters back to the other world. The governor ordered his men behind him to take pictures of the symbols on the wall. The governor expected that all the believers of the Church of the Evil God would flee after learning that they were exposed. The main reason for coming here is to see if we can catch any fish that have slipped through the net. The second is to investigate what the Evil God Church has done over the years. After his men collected the evidence, the inspector squinted his eyes and looked at everything in front of him. It looks very damp here, and there is a night pearl placed in the middle of the house. Light up the surroundings. Where will they escape to? The governor thought with his head down. Night falls. Chen Wang had dinner with the two girls. Chen Wang looked at Shi Yuying, the saintess of the evil moon sect, who was sitting in front of him with a silly look on her face, and couldn't help feeling helpless. Why does this girl look like she's not mentally normal? Shi Yuying ate her food with big mouthfuls, not looking like a lady at all. Her mouth is pouty, her cheeks are bulging from eating too much, and with her baby fat, she looks like a hamster's mouth, making people want to pinch her. Very cute. Perhaps she noticed that Chen Wang was looking at her, so Shi Yuying's eyes were a little evasive while eating. She kept her head down while eating. Chen Wang noticed her strangeness and looked away tactfully. Senior sister Qin Qingxue, who was sitting next to Shi Yuying, looked much more refined while eating. She chewed the rice in small sips, giving people a sense of tranquility. The two women's completely different styles gave Chen Wang a different feeling, which made Chen Wang a little dazed. He suddenly restrained himself and calmed down. Hold on. Women will only slow down my sword drawing speed. After finishing the meal, Qin Qingxue said to Shi Yuying, "You probably didn't bring any clothes, right? Wear mine first." Shi Yuying pecked the little head obediently. Maybe because she was sweating from running around since leaving the main city that day, Shi Yuying asked Qin Qingxue for some clothes, then went into the bathroom in the guest room to take a shower. Finally, Chen Wang and his senior sister were left alone. Chen Wang asked Qin Qingxue curiously, "Senior sister, didn't you sound unkind last night when you mentioned the evil moon holy land? It sounds like you don't like this holy land. But I see that you seem to be quite nice to Shi Yuying." Qin Qingxue smiled lightly and said, "She is different from the others in their holy land. She is kind of an alternative, but I have a good impression of her anyway. She is gifted, but very simple. She is different from those people in the evil moon holy land in every way." Chen Wang asked, "Did you know her before?" Qin Qingxue nodded and said, "We've met a few times, right? Every time Master fought with her mother, we always watched together. Mom versus her mother." Chen Wang couldn't help but widen his eyes when he heard that. "In my impression, my mother, who looks so weak and fragile, could actually fight with others. I can't imagine it." "Senior sister, is my mother very strong?" Chen Wang asked subconsciously. Qin Qingxue looked at him, smiled mysteriously and said, "You will know later." "Who wins the duel between her mother and my mom?" Chen Wang asked curiously. Qin Qingxue thought for a moment and said, "Master one more, and her mother one less. The difference in their strength is not that big." Chen Wang wanted to ask something, but at this moment, he heard Shi Yuying's scream coming from the guest room. R. Chapter 17 is broken, the evil cult comes to the door. Chen Wang hurriedly followed Qin Qingxue in. Seeing Qin Qingxue lift up her long legs, her snow-white skirt was lifted up, revealing a section of her snow-white calves. Chen Wang quickly turned around. Just at this moment. Click. The door was opened and Shi Yuying's cute head poked out from the crack of the door. Her face blushed slightly as she took out the underwear Qin Qingxue had lent her from the crack in the door. Qin Qingxue's beautiful eyes were fixed on the underwear, which was actually broken. A hint of jealousy flashed in her beautiful eyes. He lowered his head and took a look at his position, which was neither too big nor too small. Although she is not small herself, this woman could actually tear her own underwear. It's really enviable. Qin Qingxue took the underwear from her hand and was silent. The atmosphere felt a little off for a moment. Sensing something was wrong, Chen Wang slowly turned around. It just so happened that his eyes met Shi Yuying's through the crack in the door. With a bang, she slammed the door shut. Qin Qingxue slowly turned around holding her underwear. Chen Wang saw the pink thing in her hand at a glance and his pupils dilated. He couldn't help but glance at the bathroom door. Qin Qingxue rolled her eyes at him and said angrily, "Get out now." Chen Wang quickly took 2 steps back. Before leaving, he couldn't help but glance at Qin Qingxue's chest. Feeling the murderous intent rising, Chen Wang quickly fled. Returning to his bedroom, Chen Wang felt a little restless. He took a deep breath and reflected on himself. "I think I have offended my senior sister just now, and this will make her lose face." Chen Wang decided to find some time to comfort his senior sister. After all, it wasn't her fault that she was young. Besides, hers is only smaller than Shi Yuying's, but it's still average. Chen Wang calmed his unstable heart, found some clothes, went into the bathroom and took a shower. After taking a shower, he felt much calmer. Chen Wang pushed open the bedroom door and found that his senior sister was not in the living room. Turning around, my senior sister came out of the guest room. She glared at Chen Wang fiercely with her beautiful eyes. Chen Wang touched his nose, raised his head and saw Shi Yuyin just walking out of the guest room. She was wearing Qin Qingshua's nightgown, a light blue nightgown with rabbit ears, which matched her extremely cute face. And that towering giant thing that doesn't belong to this face is really torture. Chen Wang quickly looked away. Sister Qingxue, I'm hungry, Shi Yuyin said pitifully. Upon hearing this, Chen Wang said, why not order some takeout? Shi Yuyin asked puzzledly, what is takeaway? Can I eat it? Her big, crystal eyes were full of confusion. Qin Qingxue asked curiously, have you never ordered takeout? It's a way of ordering food, where you can have food delivered to your door. Shi Yuyin shook her head and said, this is my first time out. I have always lived in the Holy Land and have never been exposed to these things since I came out. Chen Wang opened the food ordering app. What do you want to eat? I'll order it. It was dark outside, but the street lamps on the roadside emitted a faint light. The blood-red moon hung high in the sky. Ever since the monsters invaded, it was very strange. This moon had always been blood-red and had never disappeared. Several figures kept shuttling back and forth on the roadside. A man in red, followed by an old woman. The old woman had wrinkles on her face, her skin was yellow and her complexion was pale. It looks very weird. There were several men in black following behind them. Priest, are you sure that the top-grade soul body you mentioned is here? The man in red turned his head. He looked weak and obviously had been seriously injured. The old woman smiled strangely and said, I met her not far away this afternoon and fed her Hechuan powder. With her powerful soul power, even if she managed to stop herself, she would definitely not explode and die, but would only be seriously injured. She ran in this direction at noon. If that incident hadn't happened at the church at noon, I would have caught her back long ago. She must still be around here. I can already feel her presence. The man in red coughed lightly and said weakly, we have to set out quickly to find her. The soul of the evil god is almost exhausted, he said as he touched the area where his heart was. He had just sacrificed many of his men in order to preserve the evil god's soul in his body. The souls of those subordinates only prevented the evil god's soul from drying up. He had to find the girl with powerful soul power mentioned by the priest as soon as possible and sacrifice her soul to the evil god. Thinking of his current situation, the man in red couldn't help but feel angry. It's all that woman's fault. I have no grudge against him, but she came to me anyway. No one knew how she discovered the church's base, but she actually cut the spiritual weapon that hid the entrance with just one sword. He also broke into the underground base and severely injured him with a sword. Fortunately, he used the space magic weapon to escape with the church members. This woman is very powerful, and the spiritual power in her body is too strong. The man in red couldn't help but show a look of desire on his face as he thought about it. If she could be sacrificed, the evil god would probably be able to revive. It's a pity that I can't beat her. The man in red felt a little regretful. There was a flash of light in the windows of the houses in the front row. The old woman, the man in red and several men in black walked straight towards the building in the middle. It should be inside here. Let's go in. She looked at the building in front of her and stepped in without hesitation. Seeing this, the people behind followed without hesitation. Due to the small size of this building, there is no elevator installed. The old woman walked upstairs relying on her breath. As soon as they reached the door of a house on the second floor, they ran into a young man in yellow clothes who was carrying something outside. He couldn't help but tremble when he saw several people in strange clothes suddenly appear behind him. He quickly reached out to ring the doorbell, but the man in red behind him grabbed his arm. Before he could react, he suddenly realized that his vision suddenly became blurry. Then he fell down. The man in red ordered his men to drag him behind him, then rang the doorbell. Chen Wang was lying on the sofa with the two girls watching TV when he suddenly heard the doorbell ring. Is this the takeaway? Chen Wang stood up and walked towards the door. When he reached the door and was about to open it, the system's voice suddenly rang. Danger detected outside the door. Now issue system tasks happy smiley. Host, please make a choice within 5 seconds. Quest Result 1: Open the door directly, wait for the sacrifice, and then watch the senior sister avenge you in the soul state, and you will be rewarded with the special skill, Soul Cultivation Method. Task Result 2: Shout to senior sister that there is danger outside the door, and witness senior sister killing several people from the evil god church outside the door, and the reward is basic alchemy. Upon hearing this, Chen Wang immediately stopped opening the door. Evil god cult. He quickly shouted, "Senior sister, there is danger outside the door." Then he quickly turned around and ran into the living room. Chapter 18: Instant Kill. Senior sister's strength is so terrifying. Congratulations to the host for completing the second task, and be rewarded with the elementary alchemy skill. The reward has been automatically absorbed by the host, and the host can check it at any time. With a loud bang, the door was kicked down. Several people from the church of the evil god stepped on the fallen door and walked into their house. The man in red took the lead and walked into the living room. Qing Shua happened to hear Chen Wang's voice, stood up, and took out the long sword from the space magic weapon. Her beautiful eyes were cold and she looked at the people in front of her with disdain. Chen Wang didn't care about the changes in his mind. He quickly hid behind Qing Shua and looked closely at everything in front of him. He has full confidence in his senior sister. Shi Yuan sat on the sofa, looking at a loss. "Master, it's that girl." The old woman pointed at Shi Yuan, who was sitting on the sofa with her dry fingers. There was endless madness in her sunken eyes. The air seemed dead and the scene was silent. The man in red took 2 steps back tremblingly. His eyes widened, and his already weak face became even paler. Why are you here?" Qing Shua stared at the people in front of her as if she were looking at fools. She didn't expect that these people would actually fall into the trap. The old woman was obviously a little confused when she saw the scene. She didn't understand why the leader seemed a little scared. "Is it you?" Shi Yuan looked at the old woman in front of her nervously. She recognized that this old woman was the one who gave her candy at noon. At this moment, the eyes of the man in red emitted a blood-red light. This breath of the soul. He seemed like a different person, looking at Shi Yuan in front of him excitedly. "There is one more." He licked his lips with his bright red tongue and looked at Chen Wang with endless greed in his eyes. "Thicker. What a powerful soul. After absorbing the souls of these 2 people, I will be able to revive," the man in red said to himself. Qing Shua looked at the man in red with a cold expression. "You are so shameless even though you are seriously injured. You are still hiding in a human's body, barely surviving. You are really embarrassing, you demons." Qing Shua shook her head and said sarcastically to the man in red. "Who are you?" The man in red frowned and stared at Qing Shua with his bloodshot eyes. For some reason, he always felt that this woman was somewhat familiar. His soul had just taken over this body and his memory was still a little confused. Suddenly, he felt his head go dizzy and everything in front of his eyes went white. He slapped his forehead suddenly. It was no use. He had to absorb the souls of these 2 people quickly. There was a vicious look in his eyes and he was about to attack when suddenly he felt something was wrong. It was cold, he felt the cold. The temperature in the air is dropping. Then, the man in red lost consciousness and his body began to freeze. He wanted to move, but found that he could not control his body. He was frozen into an ice sculpture. The several men behind him also turned into ice sculptures along with him. Chen Wang was shivering from the cold, and Shi Yuan yawned with a very cute expression. She folded her arms and whispered, "It's so cold." She raised her head, glanced at Chen Wang, and suddenly an idea came to her mind. She just stood up and hugged Chen Wang. Chen Wang was unable to react for a moment when faced with the girl who suddenly rushed into his arms. Feeling the softness in his arms, his mind went blank. What are you doing? He wanted to push away the girl who was hugging him tightly, but he found that she was hugging him very tightly. He didn't know where such a petite figure got the strength from. For a while, the 2 of them were entangled. Qing Shua turned around and looked at the 2 of them in a daze, then quickly retracted her explosive aura. "Let go," Chen Wang said to her. "No, I'm cold." The girl's voice was soft, with a hint of pleading. Chen Wang's brows furrowed when he heard this. This girl is just acting like a spoiled brat. "It's not cold anymore, let go of me, men and women shouldn't touch each other," Chen Wang said in a serious tone. "Not cold anymore." Shi Yuing realized that she was no longer cold after hearing this. Without an excuse, she quickly let go of the arms that were hugging Chen Wang. Her face turned red, and she explained to Chen Wang, "I'm sorry for what happened just now. I couldn't stand it for a while." Chen Wang wanted to scold her severely, but after seeing her pitiful eyes, he couldn't help but sigh, "Don't do this again next time. Men and women shouldn't touch each other. You are a girl, you should be more reserved." Qin Xingxue looked at the ice sculptures in front of her calmly. Chen Wang walked to her side and suddenly seemed to remember something. "By the way, where's the takeaway?" So Chen Wang rushed to the door and found the delivery guy who had fainted at the door. After confirming that the delivery boy was not seriously injured, Chen Wang called the police inspector. 10 minutes later, the inspector's men arrived. After understanding the situation, they carried several ice sculptures back to the police inspector. The delivery guy also came to his senses, and after getting Chen Wang's assurance that he would not give a bad review, he left with peace of mind. After the delivery boy left, Chen looked at the door that had fallen to the ground and asked Qin Xingxue, "What should we do?" Qin Xingxue thought for a moment and said, "Let's find a repairman to fix it first." It was already past 11 o'clock when the repairman came and fixed the gate. Since he had to go to school the next day, Chen Wang returned to his bedroom and sat cross-legged to practice. Warriors can use training to replace sleep. Chen Wang's heart is a little complicated now. He has experienced too many things in this day, and a little which has appeared in his family. He always tries to take advantage of me. I originally wanted to have a quiet midnight snack at night, but this happened. Chen Wang shook his head violently and checked the basic alchemy rewarded by the system in his mind. It looks awesome, but he has never put it into practice. So Chen Wang decided to find some time in the next few days to try out this alchemy technique. The next morning, Chen Wang pushed open the bedroom door. On the dining table, Senior's sister had already prepared a sumptuous breakfast. Chen Wang rubbed his eyes and suddenly saw someone sitting at the dining table. What's this operation? Why did she get up so early? Chen Wang walked up and patted the girl's shoulder. Shi Yuing turned her head away with a mouthful of milk in her mouth, looking silly and cute. Why did you get up so early? Chen Wang asked puzzledly. Shi Yuing swallowed the milk in her mouth, leaving milk stains on the corners of her lips. She explained, "My mother helped me complete the transfer procedures yesterday afternoon. I will go to school with you today." Chen Wang nodded, but suddenly he had a bad feeling in his heart. After breakfast, Shi Yuing followed Chen Wang out the door and walked towards the school. As they were walking on the road, Chen Wang suddenly remembered something. He said to Shi Yuing with a serious face, "When we get to the school gate, we will go our separate ways." Shi Yuing asked in confusion, "Why?" Chen Wang replied, "No reason, just listen to me." Chapter 19, Love Rival, the Original Intention of Creation. Arriving at the classroom, Chen Wang returned to his seat. Jonathan, who was sitting at the front table, arrived early as usual. She sat in front of Chen Wang, her long black hair draped over her back, covering her fair neck. She lowered her head, not knowing what she was looking at. The atmosphere was a bit depressing, but Chen Wang didn't care. The class bell rang and the teacher walked in from outside. Behind him, there was a petite and exquisite figure. Seeing this figure, Chen Wang couldn't help but widen his eyes. Why is she here? No. Chen Wang remembered that she had just transferred to the same school today, and there was indeed a chance that she could be transferred to her class. Come if you want, just don't reveal the fact that you live with her. Chen Wang thought. He raised his head and looked towards the podium. Shi Yuing was looking at him with a sweet smile. Seeing a cute girl coming to the class, the students in the classroom suddenly became excited. They were discussing excitedly in low voices, and Chen Wang vaguely heard someone saying that Jonathan's status as the school belle was threatened. Jonathan in front obviously heard their discussion. She didn't care much at first, because the title of school belle was given to her by the students. Until she raised her head and saw the new girl looking straight at her, her beautiful eyes filled with a sweet smile. Only then did she realize something was wrong. There are girls all around me, only one boy. He is Chen Wang. It should just be a coincidence. Jonathan comforted herself inwardly. This is the new student in our class. Please introduce yourself. The teacher turned his head and glanced at Shi Yuing with a smile on his face. He naturally knew Shi Yuing's identity. As the saint of the evil moon holy land, her strength was definitely at the top among her peers. There is one more general in my class, and my bonus for next year is settled. Thinking back to what happened in the principal's office just now, this girl insisted on coming to her class despite the persuasion of other class teachers. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise slightly. Shi Yueying said to the students below the podium, "Hello everyone, my name is Shi Yueying. I will be spending the next semester with you all. Please take care of me." As soon as she finished speaking, the whole classroom burst into applause. The teacher said to her, "Find an empty seat and sit down." Shi Yueying nodded, and then in full view of everyone, she walked towards the last row. There are 3 seats in the last row that are occupied by only one person, and Chen Wang is one of them. Seeing her walking towards him, Chen Wang's pupils dilated. He kept praying in his heart, "Don't come over here." He didn't want to see his name on the school forum again. The other 2 students sitting alone in the back row couldn't help but show surprise on their faces when they saw her walking towards the back row. Is it possible that I will have a beautiful girl as my deskmate? Then, their faces darkened. Shi Yueying walked straight to Chen Wang, pushed open a chair and sat down. Chen Wang clearly felt that Jonathan in front of him trembled. It's all over now. Chen Wang endured the class in agony. During the whole class, he could feel Shi Yueying observing his profile. Her eyes were a little hot. Chen Wang turned his head and looked into her eyes expressionlessly. Shi Yueying turned her head hurriedly. At this moment, Jonathan, who was sitting in front, suddenly stood up. She walked out of her seat and went to Shi Yueying's side. "Hello, I'm Jonathan." Shi Yueying raised her head blankly, and saw the girl looking at her with a smile on her face. She smiled sweetly and said, "Hello." Looking at the innocent face of the girl in front of her, Jonathan was almost deceived by her appearance for a moment. Fortunately, Chen Wang, who was sitting next to her, reminded her all the time that this was her love rival. Shi Yueying was unaware of Jonathan's hostility towards her at this time, and simply regarded her as a friendly classmate. Chen Wang was looking down at his phone at this time and didn't pay any attention to the situation of the 2 girls. Jonathan exchanged contact information with Shi Yueying and then returned to her seat. Chen looked at the pattern of the novel software on his phone and couldn't help feeling a little nostalgic. This world is the same as the world of the previous life. Online literature is still very popular. After all, literature will never disappear no matter what era it is in. Literature can only change, changing in accordance with the demands of the times. Chen Wang opened the novel software. From his memory, he learned that this app was the most popular online reading software in the world. He looked through the library. The books in it rarely describe the deeds of warriors, and most of the backgrounds take place in peaceful times. Maybe the more you want something to happen, the less likely it is to happen. For example, among the major online literature platforms in my previous life, a reading software called Endpoint App was the most popular. The platform that Chen Wang signed with was also the Terminal App. That platform contains almost all the popular online novels, the most popular of which are wuguer and various classified books about supernatural powers. In the previous life, people who like to read novels always fantasized that one day the spiritual energy would suddenly revive, and warriors, magicians, and even immortal cultivators would appear out of thin air. But all they fantasize about is being majestic and cool, but they don't realize that if one day the world really revives spiritual energy, these middle school dreams of being majestic, cool and shining will no longer exist. What will replace their fantasies will be endless nightmares and fears. They will have to face countless casualties. The reason why the content of online novels in this world is different from that in the previous life is because the spiritual energy in this world has really revived. Of course, it was not just the spiritual energy that revived, but also hideous cracks and the invasion of monsters. They experienced the shattering of their previous fantasies and longed for their previous lives even more, thus countless novels with peaceful backgrounds were born. Chen Wang opened a popular novel and started reading. After reading a few chapters, he yawned. Maybe it was because Chen Wang had really lived in such a world, so he felt no sense of immersion when reading. How about I write one myself? A novel idea suddenly came to my mind. A plot fabricated out of thin air is definitely not as good as a plot recorded after personal experience. Of course, this was just a subconscious thought, and Chen Wang thought about it. Why did I write online articles in my previous life? It seems that it was because of my hobbies and dreams at the beginning. But after several books failed in succession, my initial dream gradually faded away and was replaced by the desire to make a lot of money by writing online articles. In this life, I am a warrior. With the help of the system and my mysterious parents, I will definitely not lack money in the future, and I will not have the pressure of life in my previous life. Otherwise, write one. Chen Wang was just thinking about it when the bell for class rang. Chapter 20. I don't care, I want her to be my mistress. The teacher adjusted the frame of his glasses and walked into the classroom. He held a form in his hand. Ahem. This is our total score for this assessment. He coughed twice and then read out loud. Jonathan, first in the class and first in the grade. The second place goes to. The teacher narrowed his eyes slightly and raised the corners of his mouth. Chen Wang, second in the class, fifth in the grade. As soon as he finished speaking, the students in the class became excited. It's been a big improvement. I hope to keep working hard next time. As a teacher, he was sincerely happy for this dark horse that suddenly appeared in his class, and was also surprised for himself. Next year's bonus is expected to increase again. Third place. It took him about 10 minutes to finally read out the rankings of all the students in the class. It's a pleasant surprise that all the students in our class have reached the threshold of being a warrior this time, and no one will be sent back to the regular class. I hope you can keep up the good work next time. Now let's turn to page 250 of our history textbook. In this class, we will study the history of 500 years ago, before the catastrophe occurred. While listening to the lecture, Chen Wang carefully studied the content about poisons in the textbook. As he watched, his eyes suddenly widened. Nuclear fusion research is completed, and intelligent technology is widely popularized. It seems that the society before this world catastrophe was somewhat unexpected. Thinking about our current life, it seems that the technological development of human civilization as a whole has regressed a lot. Except that some technologies are more advanced than in previous lives, other aspects are still the same. Soon the day passed and the school bell rang. Chen Wang just stood up, put on his backpack and was about to leave. Suddenly, Shi Yuan smiled and said to him, "Let's go back quickly. Sister Qin is still waiting for us to go home for dinner." She spoke in a loud voice, and Jonathan, who was standing in front of her, happened to hear it. Her delicate body trembled violently. Chen Wang seemed to realize that her voice could be heard in front of him, and quickly covered her mouth with his hand. "Woo woo. Speak softly," Chen Wang said in a deep voice. He looked towards Jonathan in front of him, and only let go of her hand after confirming that she probably didn't notice the situation here. Chen Wang quickly left the classroom. Shi Yuan was stunned for a moment, then hurriedly chased after him. Jonathan stared blankly at the two people leaving the classroom one after another, and couldn't help but clench her fists. After returning home, Chen Wang suddenly turned around and looked sternly at Shi Yuan, who was changing her shoes. "Be careful next time and don't expose the fact that we are living together." Shi Yuan asked in confusion, "Why can't it be exposed?" Chen Wang slapped his forehead helplessly and said, "Just listen to me, or I will ignore you in the future." "Don't, isn't it enough that I listen to you?" The girl looked a little anxious. "It's time to eat." Qin Qingshua's voice came from the kitchen. The three of them sat at the dining table. Chen Wang suddenly remembered something and asked Qin Qingxue, "Senior sister, when are you going back?" Originally, the reason why Qin Qingxue appeared in his house was because her parents had offended the evil Moon Holy Land, and she came to protect herself. But now that a compromise has been made and the crisis has been resolved, Chen Wang couldn't help but wonder when Qin Qingxue would leave. Qin Qingxue rolled her eyes at him and said, "Are you so eager for senior sister to return?" "Master told me to stay and take care of you." Chen Wang responded vaguely and then started eating. After taking a shower in the evening, Chen Wang stayed in the bedroom alone. He opened the long-sealed computer, and vaguely recalled that his original self had not touched the computer since he was admitted to the warrior class. Enter the familiar password and look at the familiar interface. In the upper left corner of the interface there is a folder called Learning Materials. What's this? The memory is a little fuzzy. Study materials. Could it be that in addition to hard work, was there some other secret that helped the original body get into the warrior class? Chen Wang clicked the mouse button curiously. The true face of Learning Materials is revealed. This is. Chen Wang's expression suddenly turned serious. He looked around and finally breathed a sigh of relief after making sure that no one was peeking. The video footage in the file revealed some ugly pictures. Chen Wang exited the interface, but after a while he decided not to delete the file. After creating a new document, Chen Wang wrote down all the ideas in his mind. It was probably around 1 o'clock in the morning when Chen Wang took a look at the word count and it was already over 50,000. Chen Wang felt that he could hold on for 3 consecutive nights. This state of excitement was very strange. Chen Wang couldn't help but think, if he had this physique in his previous life, would he not have died suddenly? The submission process is still the same as in the previous life. Chen Wang found the contact information of the editor of the world's only platform Chijin reading through the search engine. I opened my email and sent the manuscript. After submitting the manuscript, Chen Wang resisted the urge to type and returned to bed. He sat cross-legged and began to practice. The next morning, the sun shone on Chen Wang's handsome face. Chen Wang exhaled a breath of turbid air and suddenly felt a warmth inside his body. Have I made a breakthrough? No, it seems that he has not reached the first level of subversion yet, but this feeling is indeed that of a breakthrough. Chen Wang walked into the bathroom with a face full of confusion. After washing up, Chen Wang walked out of the bedroom and asked Qin Qingxue to help check his physical condition. It's indeed a breakthrough. Qin Qingxue placed her soft palm on Chen Wang's chest. She nodded with a gentle smile on her face. Chen Wang took Qin Qingxue's hand away from his chest, feeling somewhat confused. He was clearly only in the late first stage, so how could he have suddenly made a breakthrough? Could it be that it was the work of the marrow cleansing pill? Chen Wang suddenly realized that anything produced by the system must be a high-quality product. Indeed, the marrow cleansing pill rewarded by the system should be different. Therefore, after he took the marrow cleansing pill rewarded by the system, the bottleneck might have disappeared. After breakfast, Chen Wang looked at Shi Yuyin. She was still drinking her porridge in a daze. Seeing this, Chen Wang quickly got up to put on his school bag, and left the house quickly while she was still not finishing her breakfast. When we arrived at the classroom, Zhang arrived early as usual. Chen Wang had just sat down in his seat when Zhang suddenly turned her head. She stared at Chen Wang and asked, "Are you living together?" Chen Wang nodded helplessly. Zhang's eyes turned red, and she said aggrievedly, "Since you are already together, why did you send me a love letter that day?" "I don't care, I want her to be the younger one." When Chen Wang heard this, his expression suddenly changed. His eyes widened, his mind full of question marks, and he looked at the girl in front of him with surprise. Chapter 21, A country is the foundation for a home. Chen Wang really didn't expect Zhang to say such a thing. This girl usually looks quiet and gentle, but I didn't expect that she has so many things in her head. Chen Wang explained helplessly, "My dear lady, what are you thinking about? She and I are not what you think." Chen Wang told all the reasons why he and Shi Yuyin lived together. After hearing his words, Zhang's face suddenly turned red all the way to her ears. She whispered, "So, you're not together?" Chen Wang nodded. "That fairy-like sister that day was simply your senior sister." Zhang's face became redder and redder as she spoke. "It's as red as a ripe tomato." She turned her head hurriedly. "Senior sister." Chen Wang was stunned when he heard that. He looked at the slightly red neck of the girl in front of him and his face turned dark. What on earth is this girl thinking about all day long? Just at this moment, a figure walked into the classroom. Shi Yuyin is here. Seeing her walking towards him, Chen Wang let out a long sigh. He just wanted to practice hard and get into a martial arts school as soon as possible. Why did these two girls have to disturb his spiritual practice? Time passed quickly and in the blink of an eye, the school bell rang. Chen Wang returned home. In the bedroom, Chen Wang sat in front of the computer and opened his email. The editor of the submission has responded to his email. Chen Wang couldn't help but smile. As expected, the manuscript was approved. After adding the editor's contact information, Chen Wang published the novel as requested. As soon as he clicked publish, he heard Qin Qingxue's voice calling him to eat. While eating, Chen Wang noticed that Shi Yuyin, who was sitting next to him, looked a little strange. Unlike her usual appearance, Shi Yuyin ate her meal in small bites, looking a little gloomy. Seems like he's worried about something. Seeing this, Chen Wang asked curiously, "What's wrong with you?" Shi Yuyin pouted and said, "I heard that you sent a love letter to Zhang before." As she spoke, she looked at Chen Wang. Hearing her words, Qin Qingxue's beautiful eyes widened and she almost spit out the food in her mouth. She stared at Chen Wang with her beautiful eyes wide open in disbelief and asked, "Is what she said true?" Chen Wang looked embarrassed. He explained, "It was an accident." Hearing his words, Shi Yuan's beautiful eyes lit up. She stared at Chen Wang and said, "So, you don't like her, right?" Chen Wang said with a serious expression, "Women will only affect the speed of my sword." Shi Yuan and Qin Qingxue were speechless upon hearing this. Main city, crack number 1. This is the main battlefield of Dragon Country and also the largest alien world crack in the entire blue planet. The entire valley was covered with hideous cracks. The soldiers of the Dragon Kingdom were guarding outside the crack. The exit of the crack is also guarded by elite troops. All of this is the source of the peace that Dragon Country enjoys compared to other countries. There have never been peaceful times, only because someone is carrying the burden for you. At the entrance of the valley, a huge military fortress stands here. I just finished dinner, and this is a rare time for rest. As the commander of an army, Yi Jun hasn't had a rest for a long time. If it weren't for the order from the commander-in-chief above, he might still be leading the vanguard army patrol inside the crack. After finally getting a chance to rest, Yi Jun started a video call with his wife and son. In the video, the son is almost 5 years old and is old enough to go to kindergarten. The last time we met was when our son was just born. Yi Jun stared at the screen with a dazed look. In the video, the wife is holding her son in her arms, and the son is looking at his father on the screen timidly. "Shina, call daddy quickly," the wife said to the child. The child shook his head like a rattle and said timidly, "No, I haven't seen him. He is not my father." Hearing his son's words, Yi Jun couldn't help but feel a hint of guilt in his eyes. A wave of sadness emerged in his heart. "How's things going at home recently?" After a long silence, Yi Jun slowly spoke. "Everything is fine at home, but Dad has been experiencing symptoms lately. It could be a recurrence of a hidden injury from a previous battle. Mom has always said that she misses you and Xiaobai, but I know you are needed over there. Just work hard, I'm at home." Looking at the screen and seeing his wife forcing a smile, Yi Jun felt a little empty inside. I found an excuse and hung up the phone. Yi Jun leaned back in his chair and rubbed his temple with his hand. Boom boom boom. At this time, there was a knock on the door. The door opened and a young woman in white walked in holding a bowl of black liquid. "Brother, it's time to take medicine," the woman said softly. Yi Jun picked up the bottle and was about to take a bite. He then asked her, "How's Lao Wang doing?" The woman replied, "Brother Wang has already gone back. His injuries are relatively minor and are external. Your injury is much more serious than his." Yi Jun was silent for a moment, and then his face suddenly turned pale. He started coughing violently and covered his mouth with his hands. When he released them, his palms were covered in blood. "Brother, are you okay?" The woman hurried forward and patted him on the back. Yi Jun shook his head and said, "I'm fine. I got up and went to the bathroom in the office to wash my hands and wipe them clean." Yi Jun sat on the chair and said to the young woman, "Your sister-in-law said that our mother has been asking you why you haven't found a partner yet." "I don't have any plans for now." The woman shook her head. "If I had known you would be like this, I shouldn't have agreed with Dad to let you enter the Warrior Medical College." Yi Jun sighed. The woman was silent for a moment and said, "There is no home without a country. That's what my father always said. As long as those unstable factors are not resolved, I won't think about these miscellaneous things." Yi Jun said helplessly, "You call finding a partner a miscellaneous matter? Forget it, that's your own business, no one else can do anything about it." Yi Jun picked up the bowl and drank the medicine in one gulp. After taking the bowl from Yi Jun, the woman was about to leave, but was suddenly stopped by Yi Jun again. "Little sister, when will my injury heal?" The woman was stunned for a moment, thought for a moment and said, "I'm afraid it won't get better in a short time. You should have a good rest and don't think about other things these days." Looking at his sisters leaving back, Yi Jun shook his head helplessly. Chapter 22, Amusement Park with Two Girls. More than 10,000 words is not too much, but not too little for an online novel. Yi Jun finished reading the latest chapter quickly. His eyes were a little blurry. For a moment, he actually felt that the story in the book was the author's personal experience. He stood up, walked to the window and looked up at the sky. After a long time, he walked to the desk and picked up the telephone receiver on it. "Dial a number." Hey, come here, I have something for you to do. A week passed quickly. Chen Wang felt helpless at this time. The two girls, one on each side, held his arms. Tourists were coming and going around, all looking at them with curiosity. Occasionally, there are envious and admiring glances from men. No matter how thick-skinned Chen Wang was, he couldn't stand being stared at like this. Let go, he whispered. Shi Yuyin pouted, then reluctantly pulled her hand out. Jonathan stubbornly held Chen Wang's arm tightly. Seeing Chen Wang's face gradually darkening, she let go of her hand reluctantly. Chen Wang slapped his forehead and regretted coming out with them. After school yesterday, Shi Yuyin suddenly said that she wanted Chen Wang to accompany her to the amusement park today. She said that she had been living in the Evil Moon Holy Land since she was a child, and she longed for many things, but had only heard about them and had never experienced them. When she was very young, she had heard that there were many fun things in the amusement park, but she had never been there, so she asked Chen Wang to take her to the amusement park on weekends. Originally Chen Wang wanted to refuse, but unexpectedly the system voice sounded at this time. Now issue system tasks happy smiley. Accompanying the saint of the Evil Moon Holy Land, Shi Yuyin, to the amusement park. Task Result 1, Accept, Reward 5-minute Level 3 Combat Power Experience Card. Task Result 2, Rejected, Reward, Aphrodisiac Pill. As a straight man, Chen Wang is a very serious man. Seeing Shi Yuyin's pitiful look and considering the system task, he chose Task Result 1 without hesitation. Unexpectedly, his promise to Shi Yuyin was heard by Jongason, who was sitting in front of him. So Jongason also insisted on going to the amusement park with the two of them. So this is what happened today. The two girls followed Chen Wang. Chen Wang glanced at both sides. Jongason wore a Japanese-style JK outfit, snow-white stockings, and her innocent face and smooth chest gave people a feeling of pure desire. Shi Yuying's outfit is somewhat different from hers. Similar JK, black and transparent stockings, a cute face with a hint of baby fat, towering peaks, a total dark girlish vibe. What a cute baby face! As he walked towards the amusement park with the two girls, most of the people passing by cast jealous glances at him. Chen Wang looked calm as he took the two girls to the ticket office. After paying the money and buying the tickets, the three of them walked into the amusement park. As soon as you enter the door, what catches your eye is the Ferris wheel hanging high in the sky. As the largest amusement park in Nansha, it has the third tallest Ferris wheel in Longwa. There are also roller coasters, pirate ships. There are all kinds of entertainment facilities. Shi Yuyin's eyes lit up, her breathing became rapid due to excitement, and her chest shook. So many fun things. Chen Wang also had a smile on his face. He hadn't been to these places for a long time, either in this life or the previous one. It's a good opportunity to play it today and experience the long-lost feeling. Which one should we play first? Chen Wang asked the two girls for their opinions. Ferris wheel. Shi Yuyin said. Roller coaster, said Jongason. The two women looked at each other with hostility. Chen Wang quickly stopped the two men, who were full of murderous intent. Stop arguing, let's go play on the pirate ship first. The two girls nodded obediently at the same time. Okay, I'll listen to you. Walking to the pirate ship ticket office, Chen Wang paid the money and found a seat with the two girls to sit down. It just so happens that the pirate ships here are all three-seater. In this way, Chen Wang was sandwiched in the middle. The ticket seller looked at Chen Wang's helpless face with admiration in his eyes. This is a big brother. He actually brought two girls with him. Well, it would be great if I could find a way to be single, but I'm having two relationships at the same time. Don't think too much about this kind of thing. I don't know if my senior sister and her boyfriend will not have enough money when they go shopping. Should I transfer some money to her? The conductor sat at the ticket office in a daze. It seems like my senior's boyfriend's birthday is coming up. Should I buy him a gift? After fastening the seat belts, the corsair started slowly. The boat rocked up and down, with their ups and downs becoming more and more intense. The bow and stern of the boat swung up and down, back and forth. Chen Wang felt the feeling of the ship with an expressionless face. Doesn't seem that interesting. This is weird. I've played on this pirate ship before and I thought it was quite exciting. Why don't I feel the same way now? Chen Wang glanced at the side in some confusion, and saw Shi Yuyin screaming excitedly. The huge breasts kept shaking, and the scene was a feast for the eyes. Chen Wang quickly turned his head to the other side. Jonathan also screamed happily, her face full of excitement. They all seemed to be having a great time. This is strange, is this thing really that exciting? Chen Wang couldn't help but doubt his life. Could it be that he was not playing the same entertainment activity as them? 5 minutes later, the pirate ship slowly stopped. It's finally over. Chen Wang unbuckled his seat belts and took the two of them away from the pirate ship's site. Where are we going next? Chen Wang asked the two women. Ferris wheel. Shi Yuyin said. Roller coaster, said Jonathan. The murderous intent rose again. Seeing this, Chen Wang hurriedly said, why don't we go play the bungee jumping machine? The two women raised their heads at the same time and looked at the bungee jumping machine in the distance. This project seems more exciting than those two. Okay, we'll listen to you. The two women said in unison. After experiencing the bungee jumping experience, Chen Wang began to doubt his life again. Could it be that I am old and can't keep up with the thinking of young people? That's not right. I was only in my 20s in my previous life, and I'm 18 in this life, so I'm not old. Could it be that because I've been typing too much, I've gradually lost interest in these entertainment projects? The two women followed Chen Wang and left the bungee jumping site. What are we going to do next? Jonathan asked Chen Wang. Chen Wang thought about it for a while and suddenly felt his stomach was a little empty. The big sun at noon hangs high in the blue sky. It's time for lunch. Chen Wang said to the two girls, let's go have lunch first. There are countless small food vendors with food trucks parked on the roadside along the amusement park road. The dining tables are arranged in an orderly manner on one side. After seeking the opinions of the two women, Chen Wang walked towards a rice noodle roll stall together. This rice noodle roll is a unique local delicacy. After asking the proprietress for 3 servings of rice rolls, the three of them found a seat and sat down. Chapter 23, The Third Level Blood Demon in the Haunted House. The tender, thin and crystal clear rice noodle skin is filled with meat, vegetables, dried shrimps and preserved radish. Soaked in special juice, it tastes delicious. After eating, the three stood up. Shi Yuyin stretched lazily, her chest held high, looking very proud. Jonathan took a look at the towering chest, her expression clearly showing some dissatisfaction. Why is hers so big? Shi Yuyin touched her slightly bulging belly and found it was very full. Chen Wang said to the two girls, let's go around and have a look. In addition to food stalls, there are also stalls selling all kinds of things on the roadside. When passing by a small stall, Shi Yuyin suddenly stopped. Her eyes were fixed on the dolls displayed on the stall. Chen Wang seemed to see through her thoughts and asked, do you want to buy this? Shi Yuyin pecked the little head lightly. Jonathan looked at the stall curiously, and suddenly said coquettishly, I want one too. Chen Wang hesitated for a moment. It looked like that stall didn't sell the dolls to me directly, but instead allowed you to win the dolls by the number of hits you made in target shooting. Just then, the system's voice rang. Now issue system tasks Happy Smiley. School beauty Jonathan and the holy maiden Shi Yuyin of the Evil Moon Holy Land expressed their wish to obtain the doll from the host. Task Result 1, agree to the two people's request and reward basic shooting skills. Task Result 2, reject the two people's request, reward none. Chen Wang walked up and asked the boss, how do you calculate this rule? The boss smiled and said, 5 yuan for 5 chances to shoot at the target. If you hit the balloons 5 times, you can choose a doll. Chen Wang glanced at the two women and said to the boss, give me 10. The shooting tool is a plastic bullet gun. In this world, guns are actually rare, because the damage that thermal weapons can cause to monsters is negligible. This has led to many people being unfamiliar with guns today. The moment Chen Wang picked up the plastic gun, the system's voice rang in his mind. Congratulations to the host for completing the first task, and the reward is basic shooting technique. The reward has been automatically absorbed by the host. Chen Wang felt like there was a new memory in his mind. He familiarized himself with the plastic gun in his hand, then raised the muzzle. Without even aiming, he pulled the trigger at the few balloons on the target. Puff! One of the balloons on the target exploded. Then came the second shot, the third shot. More and more people gathered around. It was not until Chen Wang burst the 10th balloon that the boss realized that he had completed the task. Boss, can we choose the dolls now? Chen Wang handed the plastic gun back to the boss and asked. The boss glanced at Chen Wang with a surprised expression. This young man, who looks young, can actually play with a gun. The two dolls were not worth much money in the first place, and there were quite a few people watching around, so the boss readily agreed to Chen Wang's request. Shi Yuyin chose a white cat doll with a small silver bell hanging around its neck. Zhang Asin chose a teddy bear with a blue collar hanging around its chest. The boss picked up 3 keychains from the stall. 1 blue and 2 pink. Here's a gift to you. The boss handed it to Chen Wang with a smile. It's been a while since I've seen someone who can use a gun. The boy has pretty good skills. Seeing that the boss was full of admiration and the keychains were not worth much, Chen accepted his kindness. Thank you. Before leaving, the boss whispered to him, Young man, are these 2 girls your girlfriends? Chen Wang shook his head helplessly and said, No, there is nothing wrong between us. The boss was full of disbelief when he heard this. Looking at the 3 people leaving side by side, the boss said with emotion, Young people nowadays really know how to have fun. What a play! The 2 girls happily put away the dolls and keychains. After all, this was won with the money paid by Chen Wang, and it could be considered a gift from Chen Wang to them. Let's go to the haunted house next. Chen Wang said to them. Okay, we'll listen to you. The 2 women nodded. The haunted house can be regarded as the biggest entertainment attraction in this amusement park. The venue occupies fully 1/3 of the amusement park. Just because it contains real strange monsters. Most of those strange monsters are minions that haven't even reached the first level. The staff also locked him with a soul-binding lock. It just looks scary, but has no offensive power. Because this haunted house is too real, there are a lot of tourists queuing outside. The line was as long as a dragon, but since they heard it was fun, both girls seemed very excited. Chen looked at the hot sun in the sky and wished he could go home quickly. Just when it was almost the 3's turn, a terrifying scream suddenly came from the haunted house. The tourists who were adventuring inside fled out in panic. What's going on? Seeing this, Chen Wang couldn't help but stand there in a daze. It was not until a black shadow jumped out of the haunted house that Chen Wang understood the reason for their escape. It was a hideous monster with a ferocious face. He was wearing a white mask on his face, and 2 bloodshot fangs were sticking out of his mouth. This is a blood demon monster. The aura emanating from his body is at least at the 3rd level. A short figure followed behind it. That was a little blood demon. The little blood demon was tied with a huge chain and had obvious scars on his body. Seeing this, Chen Wang gradually understood what had happened. It seems that the staff of the haunted house captured the child of this 3rd level blood demon. This 3rd level blood demon is here to take away his child. The vertical holes exposed on the 3rd level blood demon mask were all red. It grabbed a tourist who was running past it and tore his chest apart. The scene was bloody. The cultivation base of Chen Wang and the other 2 is only at the 2nd level, and they are unable to cope with the current situation. The 2 girls widened their beautiful eyes as they witnessed such a cruel process, and they clenched their fists tightly. They felt a little bit reluctant, but they couldn't deal with the current situation. There is a very high threshold between the 2nd level and 3rd level cultivation, and the difference in strength is also huge. Chen Wang remembered that he still had a 5-minute 3rd level cultivation experience card. He quickly took out the experience card from the system space and was about to use it when he suddenly seemed to remember something. It seemed that he still had the branches left by his master. He put away the cultivation experience card, and a white light flashed in his hand. The 3rd level blood demon was brutally injuring a tourist. The tourist seemed to have lost his vital signs, and all the tourists ran away when he left. Chen Wang quickly threw the branch with sword energy over. The branch followed the force of qi and blood in his body and flew straight towards the blood demon. Just when the branch was about to fall on the blood demon, the sword light burst out and shone on the blood demon. The blood demon roared angrily, and left this world along with its child. Chapter 24 of the novel has become a hot topic. Looking at the pool of blood, Chen Wang felt silent. If it just wanted to rescue its child, Chen Wang could let it go, even if it meant killing those people who kidnapped its child. But it brutally killed innocent tourists who were unaware of the situation. Once you become addicted to killing, it's hard to change your bad habits. The reason why Chen Wang was so ruthless in getting rid of its child was to eradicate the root of the problem. As the saying goes, the son follows the father's nature. This monster's blood carries endless murderous intent towards humans. The older generation has a saying, those who are not of my race must have different hearts. Monsters like the Black Flame Dragon in the number 3 rift in South City are absolutely rare in the entire alien world. Chen Wang is not a saint, he will not gamble on an uncertain factor. The police inspector's men reached the spot soon. It was still the same familiar figures from last time. You again, the leading police officer asked in surprise. Come back with us, Inspector, and take your statement. Chen Wang nodded and took the two women into the police car. When I arrived at the police station and finished taking the statement, it was already past 7 o'clock. It was time for dinner. The inspector cordially invited Chen Wang to stay for dinner, but he refused. Senior sister is still waiting for them at home. The inspector ordered a police officer to take Chen Wang and the other two home. The police officer first sent Jongason back home, and then drove towards Chen Wang's workplace. When I got home, Qin Qingxue had already prepared the meal. She took off the apron in front of her waist, looked at Chen Wang who was standing in front of the door and asked, "How dare you go to the playground alone without telling me?" Chen Wang. Give me an explanation. Chen Wang said helplessly, when we came back yesterday, you were not at home. We wanted to ask you to go with us but couldn't find you. Qin Qingxue snorted coldly, then couldn't you just call and tell me? I heard that you encountered a third-level monster today. How did you know? Chen Wang was shocked. You know, he didn't tell his senior sister about this. Shi Yuyin next to her slowly lowered her head. Chen Wang glanced at her and immediately understood everything. Were you the one who tipped off senior sister? Chen Wang asked. Shi Yuyin said weakly, yes. Next time you go somewhere else, remember to call me. Qin Qingxue turned around. Come and eat. Coming. Shi Yuyin trotted over. Chen Wang shook his head helplessly and followed. At the dining table, Qin Qingxue suddenly asked Chen Wang, how did you deal with that third-level monster? Chen Wang hesitated for a moment and told Tang Jianxian about the day he became his disciple. You became the disciple of that crazy sword man. Qin Qingxue was stunned. She looked Chen Wang up and down, nodded and said, that's right. How could he not be tempted by a disciple with this kind of physique? How did you know? Chen Wang exclaimed in surprise. Qin Qingxue glanced at him and said, a sword cultivator with a higher level of cultivation than you can see it. Here. She handed a green jade pendant to Chen Wang, wear this jade on your body, it can cover up the aura of your physique. Chen Wang took the jade pendant and nodded. Remember, you must wear this jade pendant at all times. Qin Qingxue said in a serious tone. Seeing the serious face of his senior sister, Chen Wang asked in confusion, why? Qin Qingxue looked at Shi Yuyin who was eating rice, and said, there are some demon sect warriors who practice a technique that can extract other people's physical strength. If they are extracted, they will die. Shi Yuyin raised her head in confusion after hearing this. She quickly shook her head and explained, we don't have this kind of skills in the Evil Moon Holy Land. Chen Wang was stunned when he heard this. If that was the case, didn't he have been in danger all along? After dinner, Chen Wang returned to his bedroom. He had just walked to the computer when the system voice suddenly rang. Now issue system tasks happy smiley. Host, please break the collection record of Chijin novel platform within 5 days. Task result 1, success, reward, 5-minute level 3 warrior experience card, . Mission result 2, failure, reward, 3rd level warrior cultivation. Hearing the voice of the system, Chen Wang was delighted. I have only written more than 60,000 words, and those big guys who have written tens of millions of words may not be able to break the collection record. Although he has absolute confidence in his work, the number of words is still too small, and he has not even had it recommended for trial use. Mission 2 is definitely a sure thing. Chen Wang turned on the computer. On the screen, a folder was clearly located in the upper left corner. Study materials. Chen Wang simply ignored it and clicked on the penguin. This penguin is a chat platform similar to QQ in the previous life. Online writers usually contact editors through it. He hadn't watched Penguin all day today. When he logged into his Penguin account, a friend's avatar with blue wings suddenly lit up with a red dot. This is the Chijin editor he just added a few days ago, Blue Fox. Lan, who is an author with a long history and is a patient person. He was also a best-selling author and has rich writing experience. Chen Wang saw countless positive reviews of him from authors on the internet, so he submitted his work. Blue Fox, I'll push it to your homepage the day after tomorrow, so you should get ready. After seeing this, Chen Wang rubbed his eyes quickly. What is this operation? Their homepage is recommended only for some excellent authors after their works are put on the shelves. His novel has only published more than 60,000 words, but it was recommended on the homepage. Chen Wang typed and asked in confusion, Brother Blue Fox, I only wrote more than 60,000 words, why did you arrange this recommendation for me? Blue Fox, I'm not too sure either, it was arranged by the higher-ups. Blue Fox, you can take a look at the hot searches over the past 2 days to get a general idea of the situation. Chen Wang quickly took out his cell phone and opened the Warrior forum. The first most searched topic is a title called, What Would Happen If There Were No Monsters Invading This World? Chen Wang clicked on this post. What caught my eye was a screenshot of his novel's homepage. There is also the content of the first chapter. This familiar sense of immersion is something that other non-magic novels do not have. Why is my book number 1 on the trending searches? For some reason, Chen Wang suddenly felt something was wrong. Chen Wang looked at the comment section with confusion. This is the most realistic non-magic novel I have ever read. I've been a bookworm for more than 10 years, and this is the first time I've seen a novel that's written like an autobiography. I suspect the author is a time traveler who traveled from a world without magic. Chen Wang felt nervous when he saw this comment. This can even be thought of as time travel. The person who made this comment is truly a talented person. Chen Wang then looked down. In a world without demons, would we not have to worry every day about demons suddenly appearing? When can we completely drive the monsters out of Blue Star? Although we won the war hundreds of years ago, the victory was not thorough enough. There are still some monsters left on Blue Star. I must become a police officer in the future to protect the lives of ordinary people in Dragon Country. Chapter 25, The Fall of the 10th Level Monster. I suddenly have the idea of joining the warrior army. Although I am only in the 2nd grade of junior high school now, I will definitely be admitted to the warrior class in the 2nd year of high school. I will become a warrior in the future and live a better life. Me too. Although I'm still young, for the good life and stable world in the book, I must be admitted to the warrior class and go to the rift to resist monsters in the future. For the safety of ordinary humans, I have decided to join the warrior army after graduation next year and become a great warrior. My parents were brutally murdered by monsters a few years ago. I plan to join the army next year. Seeing their comments, Chen Wang suddenly fell silent. He didn't realize that he was just writing down his experiences from his previous life and embellishing them a little bit. It actually caused such a sensation and inspired so many people to completely eliminate the invading monsters. A world without magic doesn't seem so beautiful. But at least it's better than living in fear of monsters suddenly appearing every day. Although it's on the hot search list, it's impossible to break the collection record in 5 days. Chen Wang comforted himself. The next second, the system's voice rang in his mind. Congratulations to the host for completing the first task, and be rewarded with a 24-hour 3rd level warrior experience card. The reward has been stored in the system space, and the host can withdraw it at any time. Chen Wang. He clicked on the author's homepage and suddenly found that his collection of works had reached 10 million. According to his memory, the work with the highest number of collections on the Chijin platform only had 5 million collections. Chen Wang guessed that in addition to the users of the platform itself, there should be many people who do not usually read novels who came here because of the news. I have brought a lot of traffic to the novel platform. Chen Wang finally understood why the platform gave him a homepage recommendation. What a pity that I have the cultivation level of a 3rd level warrior. Chen Wang shook his head helplessly. This system must be deliberately setting up a trap for me. As for why his novel became a hot topic, Chen Wang had a vague guess in his heart. Outside the number 1 crack in the main city. Inside the military fortress. On the rooftop, Yi Jun was wearing a black windbreaker and holding a cigarette in his mouth. The sky was blood red, and blood light emanated from the hideous cracks. Sister Yi Bai pushed open the door to the rooftop and walked towards Yi Jun with her long, snow-white legs. Brother, put down the cigarette. Yi Bai pouted and said helplessly. Upon hearing this, Yi Jun had no choice but to put away the cigarette. He turned around and faced his sister. Your injury hasn't healed yet, you are not allowed to smoke. Yi Bai said in a serious tone. Yi Jun said helplessly, is it not okay if I just hold it in my mouth and don't smoke? Yi Bai rolled his eyes at him, no. Okay. Yi Jun yawned and asked, have you read a book recently? The book that is praised as their most realistic novel without magic. Yi Bai asked. Yes, what do you think about the effect of pushing it up? Yi Jun smiled slightly. You are the one who made it a hot search, right? Yi Bai suddenly realized, I was wondering why it was pushed to the hot search with only 60,000 words. It turns out it was you, brother. I feel that what I wrote is very real, as if there really is such a beautiful world. Yi Jun stared into his sister's eyes and said, actually, the world without demons isn't that beautiful, but it's better than ordinary people living in fear all day long like today. Only when the masses have beautiful beliefs can the world be completely changed. That's why I put that book up there. Yi Bai raised his head and muttered to himself, this weather is so strange. Yi Jun held up a cigarette and said, there is a 9th level monster breaking through. Put it down. Yi Bai glared with her beautiful eyes. Yi Jun put away the cigarette in disappointment. If you do this again, I will tell my sister-in-law and say that you are refusing to cooperate with the treatment. Yi Bai warned. Yi Jun said helplessly, don't tell your sister-in-law, isn't it okay for me to listen to you? He put away his cigarette and turned around. Will the soldiers in there be in danger? Yi Bai asked worriedly. No. Yi Jun shook his head and looked into the distance, I have already notified Commander Chen. He is guarding inside. Nothing will happen. It's just a pity for the monster that just broke through the 10th level. It may perish now. Inside the number 1 crack in the main city, a man in black armor stood on a high platform on the wall. There were lightning and thunder not far away, and a black shadow was floating in the sky, resisting the thunder. When the 5th thunder tribulation fell, a fierce aura burst out from the black shadow. Below the wall, countless Dragon Nation soldiers were standing in line in an orderly manner. The monster that was undergoing the tribulation roared towards the sky, then turned around and rushed towards this side. On the platform, the man sighed. Why does it have to be this way? A white light flashed in his hand, and a silver white spear appeared in his hand. There is a giant oriental dragon carved on the gun body, and the dragon pattern is lifelike, domineering and majestic. The silver white body of the gun formed a sharp contrast with the black armor on his body. Gun up! He shouted loudly, and the power of chi and blood burst out. With a kick of his feet, their whole person flew towards the monster. Then he swung his gun and a dragon roar sounded, spreading along with the screams of monsters. In just a few seconds, the monster that had just broken through the 10th level fell. Outside the crack, a gorgeously dressed woman stood at the entrance, waiting quietly. The crack suddenly vibrated violently, and the next second, a man in black armor walked out from it. The man put away the silver white spear in his hand, raised his head and smiled slightly. Their facial features were somewhat similar to Chen Wang's, but with a more experienced look. The woman took off her armor for him herself. The man asked the woman, where is Liu Liang? I'm here. The middle-aged man next to him hurried forward. You haven't dreamed about anything these days, have you? The man asked him. Liu Liang shook his head and said, don't worry, I didn't dream about anything. That's good. If you suddenly dream about something, remember to inform me in time, said the man. I understand. Liu Liang responded. Finally, I'm done. I can go home now. The man's tone was very lazy, and it was impossible to imagine that he was just wearing black armor and holding a silver white spear to kill a monster that had just broken through the 10th level. Is Sheshua living with your son recently? The man asked the woman. Yes, and that little witch is here too, said the woman with a smile. That female devil actually agreed to let her daughter live in our house, the man asked in surprise. It's written in black and white, and she has signed the agreement. She can't go back on her word. The woman said with a smile. It's not a good idea to force someone to do something against their will, right? The man said hesitantly. The woman said, I was just joking. I'm not someone who would accept a woman if she wanted to sell her to me. Of course, if both of you like each other, you can still consider it. Chapter 26. Your son seems to be abnormal. Today is their weekend. Except for eating, Chen Wang has been sitting in front of the computer typing all day. Chen Wang discovered a pattern. His cultivation progress during the day was much slower than at night, so he simply started writing novels during the day. A ray of afterglow shines in from the window. Chen Wang stretched lazily. At this moment, there was a sudden knock on the door. Then the door handle was turned. It was the first time Chen Wang saw Qin Qingxue standing at the door. She looked towards Chen Wang and said, "Master said they will be back tonight." Chen Wang was stunned when he heard this, and a strange look flashed in his eyes. He has never seen the parents of this world. In his previous life, he was an orphan and had never experienced the feeling of family love. Chen Wang couldn't help but look forward to seeing his parents later. Memory: my father is a funny and humorous man, and my mother is dignified and elegant. They are both very lively, and even though they are in their 40s, they still act like children sometimes. Chen Wang turned off the computer, got up and walked out of the bedroom. There was a sumptuous meat dish on the table. The three of them sat at the dining table but did not move their chopsticks, quietly waiting for the two elders to arrive. Suddenly, there was a click sound from outside. The door was pushed open and two old people walked in. Chen Wang turned around and saw that it was exactly the same as he remembered. The corners of his mouth rose slightly. He finally had parents in this life. "Dad, Mom," he said slowly. "Master. Master, Mother." Hearing Qin Qingshue's words, Chen Wang almost burst out laughing. Is she calling her father? Ahem. Father Chen's face turned red. Hurry up and eat. Hello, uncle and aunt. Shi Yuyan's face turned red. Let's eat quickly. Chen's mother looked at Shi Yuyan with a smile on her face. This girl is much more obedient than her mother. It would be great if I could trick her into becoming my daughter-in-law. She looks fair and clean, and is quiet, which is much better than her mother's personality. At the table, everyone was eating when Chen's mother suddenly asked, "Son, why do I feel like you're a little different than before?" "Old Chen, look, isn't our son more handsome than before?" Father Chen looked at his son curiously. It seems that he is a little different. Chen Wang touched his cheek and said helplessly, "Haven't I always been this handsome?" Seeing that his mother was about to reach out to pinch his face, Chen Wang quickly turned his head and dodged her claws. These parents are such a funny couple. It's exactly the same as in my memory. Maybe it's because I cut my bangs. Chen Wang explained. Chen Wang had realized before that his sudden becoming handsome might arouse suspicion, so he thought of an excuse. Before traveling through time, the original body didn't like to cut his hair. His bangs covered his eyebrows, making him look very depressed and obscuring Chen Wang's original appearance. Most of those classmates and friends have never seen what Chen Wang looks like with short hair. Although the reason that cutting short hair will make you handsome sounds a bit far-fetched, the fact that the original body had kept his hair long for so many years and suddenly cut it short can be used as an excuse for a slight change in appearance. After all, no one has seen what Chen Wang looked like with his bangs before he took the marrow cleansing pill. My son looks like me, he is handsome enough. Father Chen said to himself. As he spoke, he stroked the beard on his chin. Chen Wang. Qin Qingxue, Omega. Shi Yuyin lowered her head and ate rice silently. Mother Chen glared at him and said, "Don't be so narcissistic. The children are watching us." Upon hearing this, Father Chen lowered his head, took a bite of rice, and pretended nothing had happened. "Son, I heard that you took that crazy guy Tang Aaron as your master." Chen's mother suddenly asked. Chen Wang glanced at his senior sister and nodded. "Mom, do you know my dad and my master?" "I don't know him," Chen's mother said calmly. "But I heard that he is quite powerful. You should try to learn his moves and then change the name to Chen's swordsmanship." As she spoke, she glanced at Shi Yuyin who was eating next to her. Chen Wang was stunned. Why did these parents seem to be becoming less and less reliable? "I'm full." After quickly finishing his dinner, Chen Wang got up and rushed into his bedroom. After getting along with Chen Wang these few days, what do you think of him?" Chen's mother looked at Chen Wang's back as he quickly fled, and suddenly remembered something. She looked at the two women sitting at the dining table. Hearing his words, Shi Yuyin's face suddenly turned red. "He's a very nice guy," Shi Yuyin whispered. Qin Qingxue said silently, "I feel like he has no interest in us." Mother Chen was stunned for a moment, a trace of worry showing on her face. "Old Chen, stop eating. Your son doesn't seem normal." Chen Wang sat on the edge of the bed, flipping through a notebook in his hand. This notebook was given to him by Tang Jianxian at that time, and he has been studying it for several days. Except for a set of sword techniques called Qi Cheng Jian that has been passed down from generation to generation, the rest are some sword styles that his master learned. The moves were memoized in his mind, but he had not put them into practice yet. Chen Wang decided to go to the park every day to practice his sword skills. The next day, Chen Wang had breakfast and went to school as usual. Watching his sons receding back from the living room window, Chen's father quickly dialed a number. After a while, a man in black pajamas came to the door. The man yawned and said, "Brother Chen, why did you call me here so early in the morning? Your sister-in-law and I have finally made the trip home, don't you want to come and see us?" Father Chen said cheerfully. "Tell me, what do you want me to do?" The man in pajamas looked like he was still sleepy and asked Chen's father with half-closed eyes. "I want you to crack my son's computer password," Chen's father said. Hearing this, the man in pajamas suddenly lost all his sleepiness. He widened his eyes with dark circles under them and said, "Just for such a small matter, you called me here so early in the morning. You can't do it, can you?" Father Chen looked at him and said with a smile, "How is that possible? Take me there." At school, Chen Wang was recalling the moves recorded in the notebook given to him by his master. Suddenly, his right eyelid twitched and he had a bad feeling in his heart. Chen Wang frowned. Why did he have a bad feeling? The day passed quickly. After school, after sending a message to his parents, Chen Wang went to the open space in the park where he had encountered the evil cult members making a deal with the 5th level monster last time. He plans to practice swordsmanship here. Not far away, two women were sitting in front of a tree, quietly waiting for him. Originally, Chen Wang wanted to come alone, but who knew that the two girls insisted on coming with him to watch him train. "I really don't know what's so good about practicing sword." Chen Wang shook his head helplessly. "Take out the light blue sword from the system space. Tang Erin's Qi Cheng Jian is very different from other sword techniques." Chapter 27 National Warrior Competition, Psychic Power, Gravity Field. Other sword techniques focus on form, but Qi Cheng Jian focuses on meaning. The movements are also very simple, just some basic picking, stabbing and chopping movements. This set of sword techniques focuses on combining qi and blood, cultivating the mind internally, and improving the foundation externally. Chen Wang practiced for about an hour, and the two women behind him just sat there quietly, staring at him. Chen Wang didn't stop what he was doing until the phone in his pocket rang. "Hey, Mom. Son, come back quickly for dinner. Mom will cook for you today." On the phone, Chen's mother's tone was unusually happy, as if she had encountered something happy. Hearing her words, Chen Wang's pupils dilated and his face turned dark. His heart could no longer be at peace. "My mother actually said that she cooked the meal herself. This is terrible." He learned from his previous life's memories that his mother liked to cook herself when she was in a good mood, and the food she cooked was always dark cuisine that was simply unbearable to look at. "Mom, can we discuss it and let my dad or senior sister cook?" Chen Wang asked helplessly. "No." Chen's mother refused without hesitation. "I've already prepared the meal, take Xiaoyin home to eat." "I'll go back with you." Jonathan came to Chen Wang at some point and mustered up the courage to say this. "Why do I hear another girl's voice?" Chen's mother's tone sounded a little excited. "Didn't you go to the park to practice swordplay? Besides Xiaoyin, who was there with you?" Chen Wang said helplessly, "A classmate. Female classmate. Bring her home for dinner." "There will be enough food," said Chen's mother. Chen Wang turned around and glanced at Jonathan next to him. "My mother asked you to go back with us to eat." "I'm fine with anything," Jonathan said with a well-behaved smile on her face. Chen Wang nodded silently, feeling mournful for the girl in his heart. Poor girl, just got on her mother's boat. At the dining table, Jonathan had just said, "Hello, Uncle and Auntie," obediently when she was called to the table by Chen's mother with a smile on her face. After seeing everything on the table, the smile on Jonathan's face gradually froze. The dishes on the table looked black and seemed to be burnt. She consoled herself inwardly, maybe it just looks ugly. She picked up a piece of meat and took a bite, and her face suddenly turned pale. She swallowed the meat while enduring the pain. Only then did she realize that this was not a matter of appearance. "But it's just unpalatable." Mother Chen enthusiastically picked up some black braised pork for the two girls. Chen Wang sat next to her with an ugly look on his face. Mom, where is our senior sister? Chen Wang asked puzzledly. Usually, his senior sister always sat opposite him, but today she was nowhere to be seen. Your senior sister heard that your mother was going to cook herself, so she found an excuse to go out on a mission. Father Chen said quietly. Even food can't stop your mouth, why don't you eat more meat? Chen's mother scolded while passing a piece of black meat to Chen's father. Father Chen's eyes widened, and his expression suddenly became uglier than when he was crying. Wife, can I eat 2 less pieces? Father Chen said sadly. No. Mother Chen glared at him immediately. Mom, how about you try it first? Chen Wang persuaded, looking at the 2 girls beside him who didn't know how to eat and his father who had a sad face. Mother Chen nodded, then picked up a piece of black pork belly and stuffed it into her mouth. After a few seconds, her face changed and she spat out the meat in her mouth. I remembered I added salt. Why does it taste so bland? Mother Chen said to herself. How about we order takeout? Chen Wang persuaded. All right. Chen Wang finally breathed a sigh of relief when he heard his mother agreed. After ordering the takeout, Chen Wang hurried to help dispose of the dark dishes on the table, fearing that his mother would suddenly change her mind again. While waiting for the takeaway, Chen's father suddenly received a call. Hello. What? Are you dreaming again? Father Chen, who was sitting on the sofa, frowned. Okay, your sister-in-law and I will be back soon. After hanging up the phone, he said to his wife, who was holding Jonathan's hand and asking about her well-being, Wife, we have to go back. Liu Liang is dreaming again. Chen's mother was stunned when she heard this. Father Chen nodded, there is no specific time. We have to leave quickly. So the 2 of them told Chen Wang that the takeaway had not arrived yet, and left in a hurry. Is this back to work? Chen looked at the 2 people's backs as they left, feeling helpless. After eating the takeaway, Jonathan went back. Chen Wang took a shower and then sat in front of the computer to type. For some reason, when facing the computer screen, he suddenly had a strange feeling in his heart. Something seems strange. The Learning Materials folder in the upper left corner of the computer screen is extremely eye-catching. Chen Wang suddenly felt alert. If someone saw this, it would be socially disastrous. In order to prevent it from being seen, Chen Wang immediately set a password for it. It's much safer now. Chen Wang felt at ease. The next morning, in the classroom, Chen Wang was sitting in his seat, looking down at the latest news on the Warrior Forum, when suddenly he heard hurried footsteps outside the door. The person who came was the grades dean. Jonathan, Chen Wang, Shi Yuying, the 3 of you come out for a while. Chen Wang was stunned for a moment, then after he reacted, he quickly followed the 2 girls out of the classroom. At the classroom door, in addition to the 3 people, there were several students following the dean. The dean of studies took several people to the principal's office. Principal, I have brought the students you named. The principal sat at his desk, raised his head, gave the dean a look and said, Go and get busy. The dean nodded, then turned and left. Under the confused gazes of several people, the principal smiled and stated the purpose of calling them over. You are all the best in the grade, and your talents and strengths are obvious to all. The notice sent yesterday said that a large-scale national martial arts competition would be held. The competition is organized in teams, and the top 10 teams have a high chance of being directly admitted to Wuhan University. Are you interested in representing the school in this competition? As soon as the principal finished speaking, a student asked a question. Principal, I remember that the team competition seemed to be limited to 6 people at most. But there are 11 of us, how should we divide it up? Among the 11 of them, except Shi Yuying, the other 10 were among the top 10 in their grade in the last monthly exam. The principal was silent for a moment, then glanced at the student and said, Any of you who have reached the 2nd level, stand up. Chen Wang hesitated for a moment, then took a step forward with the 2 women. You are also at the 2nd level. When the principal saw Chen Wang standing up, a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. Then his face was replaced by a look of disbelief. He didn't expect Chen Wang to bring him such a big surprise. Jonathan had already reached the 2nd level a few months ago, and Shi Yuying, as the saint of the evil moon Holy Land, was definitely at the top of her peers in terms of strength.